Hey, welcome everyone to the live stream, the Dragon Quest XII live discussion stream with me and Mr. Gentleman. I'm your host, sackchief. We're going to be talking about Dragon Quest XII today. Mr. Gentleman's here as well. Hey.
Hello, it is me, Mr. Gentleman, joining sackchief once again. How are you doing, sackchief?
I'm doing good. It's been a fun week with all this Dragon Quest news and everything.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've gotten anything. I'm sure, everything that happened last year slowed down, every production worldwide. So it's nice to see that we finally got some new stuff.
It is nice. It's nice that we finally got to see the game. Essentially, we got the trailer at least. And it's cool that we got to see all this different stuff during it wasn't just Dragon Quest XII. It was 3 Remake, we saw 3 Remake, we saw 10 offline, there was, of course, a 12 release, and those are, the main highlights of the night. And the Monsters game, too, right?
10 re-release is really interesting. I've been, thinking about it, and a part of me's I'm happy that we're getting something, finally, after all of these years, but then there is a part of me that's man, I really wish we could get, a full graphical offline version with the visuals of the original, and I'm sure we'll get that in 15 years, but I kind of want it now.
I agree. Yeah, it probably will be a long time from now. So it's funny because I was looking at our DMs from last month, because 1 month ago exactly, on the 29th of April, I DM'd you saying, hey, next month, I think they're going to have a Dragon Quest 35th anniversary stream, and I think Dragon Quest 12 is going to get announced. I just said that, and that was before it got announced. The stream even was confirmed. And then you were like, yeah, but I think actually Dragon Quest 3 Remake's going to get announced, not 12, is what you said to me. And
yeah, because I thought we were going to get a full-blown 3D 3 remake, and I understand why we're not getting it, but I'm Square's got a lot of money. They could have hired another group to do it. If they use the 11 assets, all the assets are already there. But it is what it is, and I'll take the 2D 3D version. That should be fun. My only issue is how long until we get tired of this art style?
The art style? You mean the pixel art style?
The 2D, 3D, because we've seen it once, right? And so, let me give my history with 4, 5, and 6 for the DS. I played 4, and I'm man, this is such a really great art style. And so then I play 5, and I'm yeah, we get this art style again. And then we got the 6, and we're okay, I'm kind of tired of this art style now. Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering how long they can milk this 2D, 3D until they're okay, we want something different now.
Right, because we had first Octopath Traveler. It's the same people who made Octopath who are making this Dragon Quest 3 remake. Actually, they said that even in the discussion. There's that Octopath thing. There's the sequel to Octopath, the Triangle, whatever strategy game. There's this.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, did that come out yet, or is it just? Because I remember there was a demo for it.
No, I believe it's next year. It's coming out
next year. Interesting. Yeah, so there was that thing, and then there was that Suikoden developers making the spiritual successor to Suikoden, Eiyuden Chronicles, and that looks like Octopath also. Did you hear about that one?
I believe I did. I don't think I've seen any footage.
Yeah, they showed footage of it, and it looks like Octopath also. It basically just does. There's multiple games coming out with this sort of art style, and it's Octopath. I wasn't super huge fan of it, but I did like the way it looked, and I think everybody liked the way it looked. It just looked good. It was an interesting take on the whole sprite sort of 2D 3D mesh, and it just works really well.
It's just that I think you can only milk a certain style for so long until people get tired of it, and I'm wondering what's the shelf life of this style before they need to update it.
I agree. Or just improve the same style, I think. Just make it look better and better and better. I personally... Okay, so what's your thoughts overall on the Dragon Quest 3 remake? How much do you like the way it looks? What do you think?
Right now, I'm accepting of it, and I look forward to playing it. My only issue is that how much of this are they going to use as an excuse to basically make it the SNES version but like now in 2D, 3D with nothing new added. Because I think there's a lot they could add to a 3 remake. Like I was hoping that when they did it, it would have a lot of stuff from 9, such as armor changing your clothing and things such as that. And maybe like more additions to like, the personality system, because 3 Remake for the SNES added a lot of new stuff to the original. Like the whole personality system was like really cool. And like I like that there were just and 3 in general takes a lot from like 80s CRPGs, and I was hoping they'd like take more and more and more, and I was hoping that maybe they'd even flesh out a lot of the stories even more. So I'm wondering how much of this will just be everything we've seen in 3 before, just with a visual upgrade, and how much of this will really be we're making like it's a remake, but like there's a lot new here to play with.
I was thinking about that myself, actually, because, like you said, 3 Remake on the SNES added so much stuff to the point where it's like a brand new game. There's new bonus dungeons, but also the mini medals. They added just like a lot of stuff. Like the graphics are a lot better. This 3 Remake though, there's a lot of potential, is what I think. I think there's a lot of potential to add new things to make it feel a lot more fresh, and to include a lot of content that was cut in the Game Boy Color release, because that content was, as you know, that stuff was cut out of the Switch version. I don't know have you played the Switch version of Dragon Quest III yet?
Isn't it the mobile version, expanded to widescreen?
It's the mobile version expanded to widescreen with a weird kind of HD filter over the sprites, for the character sprites. The character sprites are they're not 16-bit. They're like HD looking. It's not that great looking, to be honest, but it's passable. But more importantly, they removed all the bonus content from the Game Boy Color version. Was my biggest problem with that version of the game, and also there's no moving sprites also.
Well, I can live without the bronze, silver, gold coins, because I think those take like hundreds of hours to get everything.
Yeah.
But I would like the ice dungeon back, though, like the new dungeon from the GBA version. That I would like back.
I want that too. I was disappointed that was removed from the every version after the Game Boy version. I still think the Game Boy version is the best version of the game when people ask me.
It's certainly the most complete version. I'm a big visuals guy, and I love the art style of 3 Remake.
3 Remake on the Super Nintendo, right? Or Super Famicom?
Yes, because
I'm thinking which one are you talking about? There's a bunch of 3 Remakes.
That's right. They're all 3 Remake. The Super Nintendo version.
Right. I agree. The Super Nintendo version is really great looking, and it's just sprite like art. It's art, that game. Like the sprite work is some of the best sprite work in the whole console, honestly.
Great sprite work. Great. The battle backgrounds are beautiful.
I agree. They're amazing. They're like the like mountains and the skies and the clouds, and it looks so good. The battle backgrounds. They're like they're like works of art.
And the cities at night. I think in my video I compared it to like Van Gogh's Expressionism, because it's like it really looks like you're moving in a painting.
I agree. It does. It looks a lot like that. It's like. They went so far with the visuals, and the great thing about the new Dragon Quest III Remake is that it is adapting its visuals off of the off of 3 Remake on Super Nintendo. Like if you look at the castle and everything, it just looks like the same castle but in 3D. If you try to like analyzing it, you notice that, right?
Yeah, the sprites too look the Super Famicom.
Yeah. The sprites were very reminiscent. This whole thing is clearly reminiscent of the Super Famicom version of the game, but like an updated version into like the modern like HD sort of era. That's kind of what I get from it, and it looks great.
If they have to go in this direction, I would take it from that version, because I'm all of these so-called HD remakes. I don't think they look very good. I don't think they look good at all. And this isn't just a Dragon Quest thing. I've been playing the Romancing Saga remakes, and they just don't look as good as the originals.
I agree. They look like RPG Maker games from 2014 or something. That's kind of what they look like.
It's weird. Like and people always get on me for this, for like the Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 4 remakes. I don't think those look good either. I think they look really cheap.
For the PSP, those ones, or
Yes, the ones for the PSP.
Yeah, I didn't think 4 looked that bad. I thought it was one of the better looking ones out of the others, but I do think they don't look as good as pixel art. I don't think they'll get as good as those. Yeah.
It's so weird that like the people doing pixel art now are all like the indie game developers, and then like all these Japanese remakes just they look like they look almost like, I don't know, maybe Flash Games is going too far, but they just don't look all that great to me.
Yeah, I agree. Because the thing is, I don't know what it is about the RPG Maker aesthetic of like these high definition sort of, you're bringing these old chibi pixel like characters and you're pulling them into the HD world and trying to draw them really like HD looking and detailed. It's like there's something weird about it that I can't quite put my thumb on why it's weird. I don't know why I don't like that.
A part of it's like the colors. The colors look very simplistic.
Yeah, the colors, the shading is usually not realistic. Like you're trying to make these worlds realistic, but the thing is, it's like you said about the Van Gogh's like impressionism, like something that is a bunch of colors that are like more abstract from each other. Like when you step back from a painting like that, it kind of melds together and forms a picture. But when you, and that's kind of how I see pixel art also, in a way. I've never heard of anybody talk about that before, like how it's kind of the way people make paintings is, because you don't make it too detailed. You don't have to make it detailed, because when you step back, it kind of comes together and has a sort of realistic look to it. And it's the same thing does the same thing with these RPGs, is what I think.
Yeah, I'm hoping pixel art makes like a real comeback in Japan, because it made a huge comeback here. I was hoping Japan, we'll get back into it as well, rather than because I heard what the process is for some of them, especially like for the Final Fantasy VI port, is that they like literally put them into a machine which like smooths out the imagery into HD. It sounds like the cheapest way to do it ever.
I agree. It's those games, I don't think they did a very good job. Like for years. Here's the thing. I thought that if they remade I was worried that if they brought Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6 to the Switch, they would try doing something like that, where they would just make the characters like all smooth over, because Square Enix has been doing that for most of their RPGs that they've been porting. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll make a guess right now. The 4, 5, and 6 re-releases, when they do it, because I don't want people in chat to think like this was like officially announced. When they do release 4, 5, and 6 for like the Switch and PS4, it will be the DS visuals just in widescreen. That's what it's going to be. And that's fine. There are worse ways to do it. Yeah. There are far worse ways I can imagine.
There are, and the DS remake looks pretty good. I mean, they look good. They're aesthetically pleasing, I'd say, to a point.
I do.
Yeah.
I just think that for like, well, let me expand on what I said earlier. One of the reasons I got tired of the art style for 4, 5, and 6 on the DS eventually over time was, and it's still a great looking style, don't get me wrong, but it's that if you look at the original 4, 5, and 6, that's 3 different art styles.
The original 4, 5, and 6. So yeah, that's true, because the 4 is for the Famicom or the NES or whatever, and 5 is for the Super Famicom, but it had like a different art style than 6, which was like the same art style as 3. They do have a completely different art style, while while the Urgic trilogy, they all look pretty much the same.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's kind of like disappointing that that like the remakes, like they all kind of look the same, which gives them a sense of unity, I suppose. Because I know for a long time, Yuji Horii was like, 4, 5, and 6 aren't a trilogy. They don't belong, in the same series. Never mind, you like visit the same places sometimes. I think that over time, he's taken a step back from that stance. Thankfully.
I don't know where that stance came from. It never made sense to me, because whenever people were like, there's no such thing as a Zenithian trilogy, Horii said there isn't. But I'm here thinking, how is that possible? They are clearly connected, very clearly connected. How can you say that?
It's like in 4, you visit the tower going to Zenithia. In 5, it's the same tower, just it's broken now. And I'm like, these are clearly connected games.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, it's ridiculous. Jeez. All right, so But some people online on Twitter have been saying that they think that 4, 5, and 6 are going to come to the Switch, but the Octopath Traveler guys are going to do a remake with that engine just for all the games like going forward, and that was interesting to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, Hori did leak 1 and 2.
He did.
So we know we're going to get those.
Yeah, he was like...
And I'm fine with 1, 2, and 3 looking that way. 1 and 2 are short games. If they're already doing 3 in that style, they may as well do 1 and 2.
I agree.
And so I personally would like 4, 5, and 6 done in a different style.
I think so too, because but the thing is, the uniformity, like having them all in the same style for the remakes, I think that worked best for 1, 2, and 3 because of the connection between them. And yeah, 4, 5, and 6, because then 4, 5, and 6 will come and they would be the DS versions, like you said that they might be, if it happens. If it happens, of course. Yeah, because to me it's just like I never like too much of the same thing for too long. I agree. So, and you think that this whole Octopath thing is gonna go out of style soon?
Yeah, I think that's what people, because it looks good. I don't want to say that it doesn't, but I think that everything has an expiration date, and I'm not saying they can't update the style in some way. I just think that in time doing the same thing the same way. People, will tire out on it.
Yeah, probably. Other than that, the 3 remake was pretty good. I think it probably... Alright, so what was your favorite thing at the conference? What was your favorite thing?
It's weird to say this, because I usually get angry at this whenever they do it. The logo of 12.
Oh, really?
Because the logo of 12 said a lot on its own, and I had to think about this, and I'm like, am I overthinking this? Because you look at that logo, the way the logo debuted, and it really did feel like they were trying to say something through that logo, and just say, well, here it is. We're giving you all of this information with this logo, because compared to the Metroid Prime 4 logo, we mentioned that before. It's just a generic Metroid logo.
Yeah.
It tells you this game takes place in space.
Right.
That's what the atmosphere of the image. This, however, it you had the image of fire. It starts with 11, meaning that there might be a connection to 11, but then one more makes 12, and then Dragon Quest appears, but it's a bit broken and ragged, and I'm like, this seems intentional. It feels like they want us to think a certain way.
I agree. A lot of people are complaining, saying that the logo says nothing and that we got nothing, but we got more than people could possibly expect. There's a lot to actually unpack with this one logo, because, well, first of all, you've noticed that Dragon Quest 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, they all have a red Dragon Quest logo, and how Dragon Quest 1, 3, freaking odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, those all have blue logos. Have you noticed that? The odd numbered Dragon Quest games.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the odd numbered Dragon Quest games always have blue logos. The even numbered Dragon Quest games always have red logos. It's a pattern. Always happens. And this Dragon Quest 12 logo is an even numbered game with a blue logo. It goes against the series tradition of having red logos with even games, blue logos with odd games. Which makes me think that this is not only just a new direction for Dragon Quest game. This is a Dragon Quest game that takes all the old traditions of the series that they've been very strictly abiding by, and it's saying, hey, we are throwing that out, starting with the logo. Starting with the logo, we are no longer doing that thing anymore. This entire game is going to be different. That was my big takeaway, was the fact that the logo was blue. I was like, what? Why is it blue? I thought it was going to be red when the trailer was starting. So that's a big thing that I noticed.
Alternatively, I don't want to look I want to preface everyone before we go forward. It is entirely possible that all of our theories could be wrong, and that's fine.
Yep.
The only time I want my theory to be right is when a game is bad. If all my theories are wrong and the game is good, that's perfectly fine. So I'm just saying that any reading that me and sackchief do into this, it's completely fine for us to be wrong.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to look into, because that change to just making it blue, that could be absolutely nothing. It could be that Yuji Horii has decided, you know what, we're just going to go with one uniform color from now on. It's more recognizable worldwide as Dragon Quest finally gets popular throughout the world, and we're just going to stick with this one color because everyone like now sees that and thinks Dragon Quest. Or it could mean something.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because the thing is, it could first of all, it could have just been a coincidence all these years. It might not have even been intentional because they never acknowledged it. It's just something people
could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been a complete accident all this time.
Yeah.
And Hori's like the one who's none the wiser. We're all the ones who are like looking into it.
Yeah, he's like, wait, what?
It's perfectly possible. It has happened before in media.
It has, yeah. That would be funny if he said that. There's a few other things about the logo. The logo doesn't look like a typical Dragon Quest logo. It's like, because usually there's like some nice little, it's usually a golden like looking number and like a nice little picture behind the words, and it's got like some like, you know, mystical looking thing going on in the back. It's just a fiery 12 behind the Dragon Quest. No, it doesn't really tell you much about the game, but we'll get into what I think, because the thing is, Horii did tell a lot in the stream today. He actually did. He said it's about making choices. It's about like choosing your own life. That's what he said. Of course, the English translation wasn't completely accurate. Is something I noticed. It just wasn't that.
Really?
It wasn't super accurate because apparently, like, because there's certain things. Like, first of all, it's not really called the fate of the flames of fate in Japan. It's called a chosen flame of destiny in Japan. That's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't the title we should be analyzing, not the flames of fate, because the thing is, the title always says a lot about the game. It always does, you know. Chapters of the Chosen. It's like chapters of people who are chosen, and like it's like these games. The title always tells the whole story. The title this time is The Chosen Flame of Destiny. So you go first. What do you think that means?
That could say a lot, because you could take that in a lot of directions.
Yes.
It could be that you have to choose the fire you are going through.
Mm-hmm.
Because like every choice you make, it all has a cost. There is no like perfect choice. Each choice has a cost to them, and you have to choose which one you have to deal with going forward. Like, pick your poison.
Yeah.
In order to get to the good you want.
That's what I was thinking. The thing is, every Dragon Quest game has like has a gimmick, right? In a way, every Dragon Quest game has some sort of gimmick that is the game's core gameplay mechanic. This time, the word "chosen flame of destiny" is in the title, which makes me think that that's what the whole game is going to be about. It's going to be about choosing things in a story that it requires choices and hard choices, like difficult choices. That's what I think, and you know, like maybe a morality system or something like that. We were talking about that on Wednesday night. Yeah, like choices is the main theme this time, is what I'm thinking is going to happen. So choosing your own choosing your own path, choosing your own sort of destiny is like what the what they said, even like choosing your own life. Because Horii did hint at that a lot, and he said that it's about choices. So we can assume that this game will be a lot bigger, a lot broader than before.
And he did. And when the guy brought up, "Oh, your choices like marriage," Horii was like, "No, more than that."
More than that. Imagine something more than just marriage. Like so it's something that changes. Because think about the marriage, it changed the story quite a bit. You know, it changed the story in 3 different directions with 3 different characters.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, if this is more than that, that's got to be pretty deep, right?
Yeah, and you know, for some reason, I keep thinking back to the first game with how you could choose to save the princess or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, maybe we'll have a lot of like, and that's not like a big choice, but it does. It changed the ending. It like, you know, a little bit of story was left out or added to, depending if you did it. So like, you know, maybe that will play into it. And I'm wondering if, because I'm all in, because like going back to theories and everything, that this is going to take more from the Zenithian trilogy than 1, 2, and 3. Because I felt like 11 took a lot from 1, 2, and 3.
Too much, even.
And 4, 5, and 6. Here's the thing. Mini rant time on like the JRPG fan base as a whole. They tend to look at things in black and white in terms of, oh, this is dark and this is light. This is just a regular story and this is a deconstruction. And I'm like, it's not always that. You know it's not always that dichotomy. There's a whole scale in between, and Dragon Quest has been all over that scale. Dragon Quest 4, for example, Dragon Quest as a whole has been all over that scale, and like 4 actually like really deconstructed a lot of the ideas and reconstructed them by the end, because that's just how Dragon Quest is. But like it did like sort of mess with a lot of the ideas in 1, 2, and 3. Like a lot of people have played the remake of 4. In the original, you name your main character at the beginning, and then you don't see him for half the game. And that was weird back then.
It was weird, because you name yourself, you first name your character, and then you wake up as some mustachioed, big, burly-looking guy named Ragnar McRyan, and you're like, who the hell is this guy? I didn't name myself Ragnar or Ryan or whatever his name was in the original. It was weird, yeah.
Yeah, like why am I playing as this older dude who's like wearing pink? it's very different. And like and that kind of continued in like 5, because you know you had well, like the entirety of 5 is a strange game. You start as a kid and you grow into adult. You have kids. You spend time in slavery. Dragon Quest has always been all over that scale, and I think with 12, because people are like, oh man, 12 is going to be dark. 12 is going to be dark. Dragon Quest has been down that path before. Like, so just don't look at things in terms of like black and white, because Dragon Quest has been there. I think this game is just bringing that back, and it's going to focus on things that 4, 5, and 6 did, and the beginning of Act 2 of 11. And I think that, you know, it's just going to take those ideas, and that this game is going to herald back to that. And to me, that only more implies to me a Zenithian connection, that this will like be like the background for the entire Zenithian trilogy, which, like I mentioned on the stream, that's exactly what I want, because 6 is an incomplete game.
Right. You did mention that 6 was an incomplete game, and I agree. Hori admit that it's an incomplete game. There's stuff in 6 that was scrapped, and like it's just like not complete. The thing about, and you think it's gonna be the 11 to the way the 11 is to the Urger trilogy being like the finished, the complete, like this ties it together, or you think that's gonna be what this game is to the Zenithian trilogy, essentially, right?
Yes. I don't think they're good. You know how they do these things. They never mention outright the connections, but like what I think that they're gonna do, like, is say, oh, like this. Kalasmo says that his essence will continue, in some sense, and he looked like S. Stark. So I've always, and like, I'll bring up my theory from Wednesday in case anyone is here who wasn't there, but I've always believed that, you know how Dragon Quest 3 is 2 worlds, the upper world and lower world, that the upper world is the world that became the world of the Zenithian trilogy. So, like, in my opinion, what happened is that the essence of Kalasmos went up into the upper world and basically kind of wreaked havoc there, and that's how like S. Stark came about. And that's why the worlds were blocked off to begin with. It's like, all right, we had this secret of evolution thing come up. We need to close this passageway. We don't know what else is down there. We don't want it coming back up. And so that's how I think they're going to connect 11, 12, and 4, 5, and 6.
Interesting. So 11, 12, 4, 5, and 6, that would connect pretty much a majority of the games in the series that are disconnected.
Yeah, it would be 1 through 6 and 11, and then 8 is the alternate dimension.
Right.
That would only leave 7 and 9.
And 7, I think, is a sequel to 3, or the sequel to 2.
Really?
Did I ever tell you that? I in the Angry Video Game Nerd video, I put it in that. I put that in there. There's evidence.
That's still in my watch later.
Right. There's evidence pointing to Dragon Quest 7 being a sequel to Dragon Quest 2. This is a theory, by the way, everyone. First of all, the manga adaptation literally says it. It literally writes it out that 7 takes place after 2 in the same world. That's what it says. It says that Kiefer is the descendant of the Prince of Midenhall, and the Prince of Midenhall went into the upper world and ended up in he went into the upper world from the world he was in and ended up in the world of Dragon Quest VII, which would make the world of Dragon Quest VII the world of Dragon Quest III, because it's the upper world. And there's that. There's the fact that Dragon Quest Dragon Quest Monsters Caravan Heart, which is like this monster spin-off of 7, takes place in you play as Kiefer going to the world of Alefgard, or the Dragon Quest II world, essentially. So the link is there between those two games, and there's a lot of little evidence here and there. I am very confident that Dragon Quest VII and Dragon Quest II are connected.
Okay, that's interesting. I never heard that before. So I guess I would just like leave 9.
Yeah, I think it would leave 9, and I've heard that 9 and 10 are connected and are in their own kind of little universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interesting.
I bet a bunch of people are asking questions in the chat. Chat's pretty active right now.
Yeah, but before we get to that, I just want to say one last thing. There was something because I told you I played the SNES version of 6 for the first time, and there are things in the game that I forgot about. I'm like, oh yeah, that's there. What's her face is in 6?
Who?
The goddess.
Rubis?
The minor goddess. Say her name again?
Rubis, right?
Rubis, yeah,
Yes.
Rubis is in 6.
She is.
She literally has like 2 lines. She's like, oh, by the way, I'm the one who contacted you at the beginning of the game. And I'm like, wait, what are you doing here? You're the goddess of 1 and 2. Like, where did you show up?
Yeah.
Why are you here? What is the connection? So yeah, there's definitely something there to be played with. And since we're getting to questions in the chat, the one I want to deal with, because I saw this in the comments of your videos as well, that maybe we'll meet Ramius, Orgo, Sabbat, and Valora, and I would like to hope so. Someone mentioned that maybe they'll be the main characters, and that would be great. Or if they're going to go with maybe unnamed characters like 3 and 9, maybe that could be the names of their hometowns.
That would be interesting, and that would explain the names of the swords, and that would be like one of those things where you kind of are playing it and you're kind of piecing together, like, I see what's going on now, like, oh, this is like kind of the 11 moment where you realize that 11 is connected in some way, because most people in the comments haven't played it yet, but 11's connected to the Order Trilogy, and you only realize that gradually as the game goes on. It's very interesting how they do it very subtly, and I think they could do that with the Zenithian Saga also, by naming the towns after those so-called people, I guess, right?
Yeah, someone in the chat says Rubis only appears as a random NPC under the sea. Yeah, she does, but she mentions that she's the one who started your adventure. That's a big deal. She literally is the inciting incident that causes the game to go forward. That's pretty important.
I would say so. Huh. Alright, so let's see what our questions we got. I'm gonna try to look for some questions in the chat. Zenithian Trilogy. What would you
There was a super chat earlier.
Was there a super chat? I didn't see it. Oh, I found it. Alright, Bradley Head. Sorry I'm late. You should stream Xenoblade one day. I know this guy. He's very active in my Discord server. My Discord server is in the description, by the way, everyone. Make sure you join. Alright, Bradley, let me think. I bought Xenoblade. I haven't played it yet.
It's a super long game. I'm just warning you, it's a 70-hour game.
70-hour game. That's about how long Dragon Quest XI is.
It's really long.
Is it good?
It's good, but I do think it's 10 hours too long, and I could have done without the final arc of the game.
I see. Interesting. I'm just looking. Yeah, there's I bought that game and I bought Xenoblade 2 because I just like supporting RPGs that come out, like, you know, expensive ones and stuff. I just like financially supporting them so that we just get more.
Someone asks, where does DQ8 fall into place? It is an alternate dimension. That is confirmed within 8.
Yeah, because Ramia or Empiria, the bird goddess that you fly in Dragon Quest VIII, confirms that she was Ramia in another world. So 8 has some sort of connection to Dragon Quest III of some sort. And there's so many of these games have connections to Dragon Quest III. People on Twitter right now are saying that they think Dragon Quest III has connection, like Dragon Quest XII has connection to 3, and I'm just sitting here thinking, please no, not again. Like, how many times do we have to do this? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the connections to 3 Basically, it's done. It's done now. We don't need any more lore.
I agree.
11 did its job. It is now a complete story. We now have a complete timeline of all the heroes, of everything that comes before, comes after. We know the origins of, like, literally the swords and where they come from. We don't need anything more. The only thing I would want is a book that says how the timelines were corrected by... You know what? I don't know how many people have played 11. There's a certain girl that goes back in time, and Hori has basically confirmed that the timeline has been altered. And I would just like a book that tells me how exactly everything was altered.
An actual book, like one you buy, like from the store?
Like a what's it called? Like a guidebook.
Oh, like
that just lists out. Yeah.
Yeah, like the
like
Zelda, like the Zelda one that they made that told all the timeline stuff, like that one, right?
Yeah, because remember, I can't remember her name. The sage from the past.
Mm-hmm.
She goes back in time right at the end, right?
Yeah.
And basically that changes the timeline a bit. So I would like to know how it all works together, how that works, because that's left very vague at the end.
It is. It's weird that they even included. Like, what was the point of that? Like, what was the purpose of that? Of her going back? There's no point, like, story-wise, of her going back in time, and that screws the timeline up like crazy. That the entire events of Dragon Quest XI wouldn't happen if she goes back in time. So there has to be alternate timelines. There has to be, right?
And like, you would think so, but Hori himself has confirmed that this is not a universe with Alright, I want to make sure I say this clearly. There's more than one kind of alternate timeline theory, because we know 8 is an alternate timeline, but that there's no timelines created by time travel changes. According to him, they meld together all the events. I just want to know how that works. And, like, 11 kept that very vague.
So at some point, maybe, like, the events just cause all the timelines to lead to a point, like a common point, perhaps? Maybe that?
Maybe. It's strange. I think that more needs to be said, because it is a bit of a flaw in that game at this point.
Yeah, the flaw of that game is that it tried answering questions, and it tried answering a lot of questions that fans have had for years, but it also brought up a lot of questions and gave us questions that are unanswered, things that are, like, mysterious, like, where the hell did Klasmos come from? Like, this big bug guy, like, they don't explain anything about him. They don't explain how he came back to life. They don't explain... There's a lot of stuff in 11 that they do not explain at all, and they just let you off the hook, and you're just, like, sitting there thinking, well, what about this? What about that? Like, it's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Klasmos, I never really thought about his origin. My only thing is, like, Red Star in the Sky. This kind of reminds me of Lavos.
I agree. I actually agree with that a lot. I was thinking that's got to be a Chrono Trigger reference. Isn't that weird? That 11? Yeah. And he looks like he looks like Lavos a little bit too, don't you think?
You think so?
I think he looks a little bit like Lavos, like the way he looks, like all buggy looking and stuff.
He reminds me too much of S-Stark. That's what it is for me.
Shape-wise, maybe a little bit. I see a little bit of S-Stark there. Also, Klasmos and Lavos, they both have the word os at the end of their name. You notice that?
I guess.
Yeah.
I know Hori has said that any idea he ever had for a Chrono Trigger sequel, he put in his DQ games. Like, I could easily imagine Dragon Quest VII, like, just like if there were other people involved, that could have been a Chrono Trigger game.
Let me think.
And I imagine like 11, its third act, that could have been like a Chrono Trigger sequel idea, just like shoved in there.
Yeah, because it's time travel. It actually uses time travel mechanics as a game mechanic. And the thing about when did he say that he was gonna? When did he say that he put all of his ideas for a Chrono Trigger sequel into 11? I never heard about that.
It's in an interview. I'd have to find it.
Could you send that to me later on if you could find that? Because I'd really like to see that.
I'd have to look it up. I'm trying to think where I first read that, and it's not coming to mind. If I ever run it across it again, I will send it to you.
Okay.
But I think that I think that after Sakaguchi was fired, quit Square. I think that he realized there will never be like a Chrono sequel that him and Sakaguchi would work on again, and so he just like put that stuff in his games.
Yeah, he probably won't do it ever again if not with him. or maybe he will. What do you think?
We haven't heard from Sakaguchi in a long time. I'm actually like worried about where he is.
Oh, he made a game recently. It's on the App Store. You can play it actually.
Really?
You didn't hear about that? It's called Fantasian. If you get the Apple Arcade, I actually have the Apple Arcade, but I don't have enough room on my phone to install the game. He made a brand new game though, actually, a few months ago.
I had no idea that Mistwalker had made a game.
Yeah, nobody's talking about it. Nobody is talking about this game. It looks like Final Fantasy, and it uses photographs of handmade dioramas of fantasy sets as the background sets for the characters to walk around. And it actually uses real it's really interesting. They took photos of all these locations to use for the game, like photographs, and they have like character models walking around in them and stuff. It's pretty cool.
It sounds interesting, but I do not have an Apple product.
It's an Apple exclusive right now, which I think was the biggest mistake they could have made. If that was on console, people would be playing it right now. But I think Apple paid them or something to make it exclusive for Apple devices.
I can't imagine that the money you get off of that is worth off of the larger exposure.
Yeah, because nobody's gonna play your game if it's an iPhone exclusive game or like an Apple. If it's like an Apple exclusive, if people are asking about this game now in the comments, all right, it's a Apple Arcade exclusive. You have to get the Apple Arcade and install it on your phone. And I got a new phone recently, so they gave me 3 months free of Apple Arcade, so I have it. It's yeah, I should actually install that. You're reminding me I should install it and try it out later. I think I will. But yeah, this game is on the Apple Arcade, and Uematsu also composed the soundtrack. Also, it's a Mistwalker game. It's a Final Fantasy spiritual successor, and it's exclusive to phones, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I can't believe that's a thing. Yeah,
because it's like, I guess he's still trying to appeal to Japan, because over there, like they're really big on mobile phones. Maybe the game is more popular in Japan, because I can't imagine it's on the Apple Store there.
Yeah, it's on the Apple Store. It's got to be on there, right? I think it is.
In Japan? I have no idea what phone companies are in Japan.
I don't know either. I think they have Apple there. There's because Yuji Horii did an App Store interview a few weeks ago. Didn't really tell him much. It was pretty vague. Oh, he was talking a lot about VR technology. How he wants to make a VR game one day. He's been talking about that in like every interview that he's been doing. Did you know about that?
No, I have to catch up on what Sakaguchi's been doing. Like, I always thought like he had disappeared.
Oh no, I was talking about I was talking about Yuji Horii actually.
Horii.
Yeah, he wants to do VR.
Well, you know what? I guess we do need that Dragon Quest Swords 2.
Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't be too opposed to that. That could be fun.
Yeah, me neither. You know what I like about Yuji Horii these days? I feel like he wants to make a Dragon Quest game in every genre, because we have like we now have Weeaboo Minecraft, we have a Musou game, we now have like a Candy Crush game.
Yeah,
so I feel like he's just gonna do everything, and I guess I'm okay with that.
Yeah, he's gonna do everything except for a fighting game, right?
That would be cool though.
I think we talked about that a while ago. Yeah, a fighting game would be really cool, and it would work so well. It would be like Samurai Showdown or some like sword fighting game where you got his characters like beating the crap out of each other with their swords. And there's so many characters they could choose from. It would be a really good game if they made a fighting game for DQ.
There are so many monsters you could choose from.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, and I think that Wednesday showed us that they're pretty much continue that. So it's a DQ romance VN. That would be funny. I don't know how I'd feel about that, but that would be funny.
Yes, the romance in Dragon Quest is so deep. DQ11's romance is the worst romance I've ever seen in any game ever. It was pretty much added.
Look, it was pretty much added in there because people were like me. Were like, we like Jade, we like Jade, we like Jade.
That's your favorite, Jade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my apologies to the 5 people who like Gemma, but you had Jade, who was like really cool. And Veronica's cool, but the problem is she's stuck at like 10.
Yeah.
She's a cool personality, but I hated that they kept her at that.
I thought she would grow up at some point. That's what I thought was going to happen, but they didn't.
You want to know? I don't know if you mentioned it. Maybe it was you, but someone did say that it might be that they'd have to remodel all of the armor to fit the older self.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you're spending millions of dollars on this game. You can do that. Like, come on.
Well, that will be like in Dragon Quest XI SS.
Yeah.
You know, that comes out for like the PS6. That's what it'll be.
Yep, looking forward to that one. Yeah, can you believe that Dragon Quest XI already got its remake before like 9? Isn't that funny?
Yeah. And 9, you know, 9 had its fans.
9 has a lot of fans. I mean, I said this on Twitter the other day. If 9 remake got announced, it would sell so much in the West. Like, everyone would be buying. Every Dragon Quest fan, a majority of Dragon Quest fans in the West started off with 9 because of the DS, and because pretty much any game any RPG that released on the DS was very much bound to sell well in this country. And so a lot of people like 9 in the West. It would sell a lot, and I don't even think the marketing people at Square Enix are aware of how popular this game is. I don't think that even they know how popular it is.
I think they do, because a lot of people don't realize this. The DS at one point was the most popular platform in the world.
Yep.
150 million units sold. There are still pictures of sidewalks of Japanese people playing it, like literally like sitting in front of stores. Oh, like groups of them just playing their DS.
Yeah.
So I have to imagine that they remember this era where, like, you know, this had occurred. And if they put 9, a remake of 9, on both the DS and on phones, put it on Switch and phones, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
On the Switch and phones, it will be super popular.
It will be, like, monstrously popular. It will be so popular. It will sell so many copies. It will, like, why haven't they done it yet? Like, I think they're first of all, I think they're working on it. The reason why I think they're working on it is because Yuji Horii and Akihiro actually said that they actually talked about it, and at this point I'm convinced that any throwaway comment that Yuji Horii makes is a hint towards another game. I'm convinced, because that 3 remake, I thought, it's never going to happen. It happened. The 10 offline version that some producer just offhand threw throwaway comments said a couple years ago, we might make an offline version of 10. They made an offline version of 10. If these guys say, hint at anything, it's going to happen, which makes me think that, yeah, 9 Remake's going to happen, because they talked about it for like half an hour, him and, you know, about their ideas for it. So yeah.
You know what I think? I think they were given a choice. What do we do first? Do we do 10 offline, or do we do 9 remake? And I think maybe they're looking at the twilight years of 10. So they're like, you know what? Maybe we need to do this now. Because as this game begins to fade, maybe it needs its one last hurrah, while it's still relevant.
Yeah, because it's approaching its 10th anniversary. Next year's the 10th anniversary of Dragon Quest X. And version 6 is coming out, and version 6 has a Celestrian who looks like a Celestrian from 9. So people are thinking maybe they're hyping up a 9 crossover, then the 9 remake's going to come out, and then who knows what then.
Mm-hmm. I also want to address, like, because I noticed it in the chat on Wednesday, some people wanted Builders 3 and Heroes 3. Mm-hmm. And just to those very quickly, the reason why I did not expect Builders 3, and I told you this the last time we had streamed, the director left Hori's team, and he's now, like, I don't know what he's doing now, if he's found work, but he no longer is on the Builders team.
Right. I heard about that,
yeah. Yeah, I told you that last time we streamed. And then, as for Heroes 3, I don't know if this has been confirmed, but if the guy who was doing Heroes 3 is doing Infinite Strash, then, like, that's obviously why we're not getting it yet.
Is the same guy from Heroes 3 doing Infinite Strash? Well, we don't know. It's the thing.
Yeah, if it's the same director. It's possible, and if it is, that pretty much answers the question.
Yeah, for now, these games right here on the screen right now, these are the only games I think we're going to be getting for the foreseeable future. I think, when do you think we're going to see more of 12? Because, you know, the logo and all that, like, there's got to be more. When do you think we're going to see it?
TGS. Tokyo Game Show.
I'm inclined to agree with that. When is Tokyo Game Show again?
September? I know it's a fall thing. September or November. Hello?
Sorry, somebody came in. Yeah, so it was September, you said?
September or November? I can't remember which one.
Okay. I'm gonna Google it right now, real quick. Why don't you check the chat and see if there's any questions we want to answer? Hey, everyone, ask questions. We'll answer questions.
Yeah, I will look. I when we were talking about like all the DQ genres, I did like someone said hero teaches typing. I would prefer Dragon Lord teaches typing. That I would appreciate. I think that would be the much funnier option.
That would be funny, yeah.
Talks about dominating your world, and he needs like intelligent people who would be able to like
Type.
work his machinery and work his armies. So he needs you to be educated.
That would be funny. He needs you to educate. He's like yelling at you for getting like the answers wrong and stuff. That's too funny to exist. That's the thing. That's too funny to be a real thing.
He like mocks you.
You imbecile!
Like,
don't even know how to type at 60 words per second. It's like, or per minute or whatever.
Ooh, there were a lot of questions before. I'm like scrolling up to see.
All right.
A lot of shipping of 11-0. Yeah, that. DQ Kart Racer. Yeah, I'd go for that. The thing is, we like mentioned this on Wednesday that that they always add a story even to like these little puzzle games. So I'm wondering, what would the story of DQ Kart Racer be?
God. Okay, so if DQ Kart Racer is a real thing and there's a story for it, it would be like there's some evil dude. There's got to be an evil dude. Obviously, there's got to be some evil bad guy with horns or some shit. And he's like, or like maybe that's a bearded guy this time, like evil guy. All right, and he's got like some race or something, and there's like an evil race or something like that, and you gotta win this race to save the world, something like that. And it would be carts or it would be horses, horse-drawn carts, or like actual like go-karts, like.
Could be. I guess maybe we could have like the horse racing arena from 11.
Yeah, which is actually pretty fun. But the thing is, it's too easy. The problem with that horse racing minigame. At first, it was difficult as hell. I lost. I got in last place the first time I played that horse racing minigame. And what the funniest thing about that is, everyone is still praising for Prince Ferris even though he lost, which is weird. It was weird to me.
DQ Golf would be cool. I can already imagine like the Princess Peaching of like Bianca and Deborah, because like they like give Peach like a new outfit every game she's in. So I can already imagine like the golf outfit for Bianca.
Can somebody in the chat draw that, please? Can somebody make some fan art of Bianca wearing a golfing uniform? And I'll retweet it. Send it to me on Twitter.
Do not forget the green golf visor. That is absolutely necessary.
Yes, they need the hat. And they need the shorts. Okay, somebody draw that, please. Okay, I'll be very appreciative if you do that.
Do you think Nadaria is a future dream world from 6? No, I think that the Nadaria was basically the evil world from 6. I don't think it was destroyed. I think that the villains just from the future just reuse that again and again, kind of like how the Dragon Lord used Zoma's castle. That's how I always felt about it.
He just squatting in it, or he just showed up one day. He's like, "Hey, nice castle."
Yeah, hey, if there's an evil fortress there to be used and no one's occupying it, you may as well.
Yep. That was funny just thinking about that. What would an Elena golf outfit look like? These guys are all obsessed with the golf outfits now. What the heck? It's gonna be yellow, of course. Let's see. I should tell more people that we're joining. I thought Blackenfist was gonna join us. I'm gonna check in on him.
I didn't see him in the chat. I mean in the Discord chat thing we had earlier.
Yeah, maybe he's busy or something. I wonder who else is not busy. Is Stampai on, or we could ask James to join us. That might be fun. Wait, let me see. He has a broadcaster role. I'll tell James to join us. Let's see if he joins.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why would anyone ever use the Kamikaze spell in a Dragon Quest game? I guess it's just there for fun. I don't think I've ever used it for like strategy purposes, but yeah, I guess it's just there to be there. It could be a reference to like the old RPGs from the West during the 80s, which would have spells like that as well. Do you think new classes are going to be made for the DQ3 remake?
I hope so.
I hope so.
I hope so.
Even if it's just classes from DQ6 and 7 and 9 ported over, that would be fine. That would be great. I would want them to go further, have like a full master classing system, like 6 and 7. You master 2 classes, you unlock a new one. I would love them for it to go that far. But at the same time, that might interfere with the resystem where like you could restart. I don't know. There's a lot they could do. I'm just hoping that it's more than just DQ3's old system. I really want this to be like a remake with new stuff.
I'm the one thing I'm worried about is the idea that this might just literally be just, hey, it's Dragon Quest 3, but like looks nicer. I want more. I want more stuff in this game. I want more features. I want more cool shit. I want like even like story changes and like new bonus dungeons and like maybe it's something to connect 3 to 11 because there's a connection they could like further solidify the connect. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Someone literally, I guess JoJo just jumped in. Dragon Quest Heroes 3 1 week actually just went over that. The creator of Heroes, the director of Heroes might be working on Infinite Strash.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, we're not getting Heroes 3 anytime soon.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to wait for your Princess of Midenhall a little while longer because I know she's like the most requested character. It's probably the most loved 2 has ever gotten.
The Princess of Midenhall?
No, the Princess of Moonbrook. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was like, you had me confused for a second. I was like, holy there's a female version of him? They should do that, though.
Yeah, I feel like Princess of Moonbrook is like, it's like everyone's like, who do you want in Heroes 3? And there are always 2 consistent answers. Princess of Moonbrook and Deborah.
Deborah, the one forgotten character in all the series who they never acknowledged. Well, she's in, I think they acknowledged her in... No, they don't really acknowledge her anymore, like even in the spin-offs, do they?
Well, yeah, well, I imagine there was just no time to put her in the movie.
Right. That might be the case. Will Seth Green return in Dragon Quest IX? I hope so. I don't think he's acknowledged the franchise since then. All these celebrities.
Will you please come back and do the advertisements?
That would be great. If they do a DQ9 remake, they have to spend the money and get him to do like just a redo of the old commercial or just a new commercial where he's like, where like some kids are just talking. He's like, that's funny. Dragon Quest 9. I also had to take out the trash, like something like that. It's like,
yeah.
They should do that.
I'm always happy when people like who did something old come back. I was a little disappointed that for Yakuza Like a Dragon that Mark Hamill did not come back.
That was disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, they'd have to pay a lot of money nowadays to get him back, I think.
Mm-hmm. I was happy though that Kiryu's original voice actor came back and he did a great job.
Yeah, and the funny thing about him is that that's the only role he's ever done is Kiryu, right?
Really?
I mean, I looked at his. I tried interviewing him. I tried looking at his behind the voice actors. I kind of tried reaching out to him on Twitter because he's not famous on Twitter. He has like 300 followers, and I didn't really get a response back. But yeah, that was him, Daryl Curlew or whatever. That's his name, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's only ever done Kiryu, and he's had a complete break in his voice acting career since then, and he just came back to do Kiryu again. Which is cool.
Oh, and Bit Duelist brought up something that I have been wondering for a long time. How did the story of Erdwin reach the upper world?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's one of the biggest things I've been wondering about Dragon Quest XI's connection to 3, because the upper and lower world are both connected to 11, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to me, and is just a huge plot hole.
It's like how I can understand how you go down. I'm not understanding how exactly someone goes up.
Hot air balloon.
And they bring all their lore and stories with them. That's something.
Yes.
So,
okay. There's several ways to go up the world. You can ride a giant bird, or you can fly a hot air balloon, or a magic carpet, or
a giant whale,
or a giant whale or a mattress or something. There's always weird ways to fly. Okay, DQ has the best flying machines I've ever seen.
I agree.
Blows Final Fantasy out of the water. Final Fantasy is always some like airship. Dragon Quest has a mattress that you fly around on a freaking mattress. Okay.
Okay, that's one of the best parts of 6.
Yes.
You have this kid who's dead. He's dead, but his essence is in the dream world, and it's like, hey guys, I'm dead. By the way, my flying bed from the dream world, go ahead and take it. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to DQ heaven now. And like he just goes off and leaves his flying bed to you. And I'm like, okay, I kind of like this.
And
I dig it.
You just zip around on the freaking flying bed.
The flying carpet was a reference to Ultima 6 or 5, one of them. But it's an Ultima reference.
Which one had flying carpet again? I'm forgetting which one was full of flying carpet.
It's in both 5 and 6.
5 and 6 both had the flying carpet, and then 5 eventually you get a flying battle fortress that you freaking land on stuff. Right, because the Zenithia Castle you end up flying in 5, right?
Yes, and then you get the Zenithian dragon at the end.
Right, so 5 has some cool flying machines. The game with the worst flying machines I have ever seen in the whole series is, funny enough, I think 11, because Cetacea can't just land anywhere. In other games you can land. The flying machines were meant to fly you across the world easily and quickly, so you can just land anywhere you want. Cetacea, you can't do that, which is the biggest problem I have with 11. Is that Cetacea is it's useless pretty much, except for getting to those whale.
And I think it's because it's a disconnected world, and that's why.
Yeah. Another problem.
Jonathan has asked a few times, so I want to address this question. Mm-hmm. What would you think of an Erdwin prequel? I would want it as a manga. I am done with playing games that have to do with 1, 2, 3, and 11.
I'm done with that shit. I'm done with any guy, spiky-haired guy with a little crown on his head with a little gem in the middle. I'm done with all that. No more of that.
So if it's a manga, if it's an anime, I'm good for it.
Yes, I agree.
But I don't want to play the Erdwin prequel.
I do not. I don't care about that anymore. You know what? I can hack the game. I can give you guys a link to a mod that makes you play as Erdwin. You guys can do that, run around as him. that exists on the PC version. But yeah, and I'm so done with the Urgic Trilogy and everything related to it, and I kind of just want 12 to not have anything to do with any of the games at all. That's kind of my biggest hope. I want it to not even as a Zenithian Trilogy. I want it to have nothing to do with anything and just completely be on its own and completely be a new story. That's my wish, and it's an unpopular opinion, but that's what I want to see.
That's what I want for 13. I want 12 to be like, here is the Zenithian lore, and now we're done. Now we're moving on.
We're done with
That's what I want.
We're done with everything now. Like, yeah. But here's the thing about 12. The reason why I think 12 is probably the new game that has nothing to do with anything. It boils down to stupid little things like the logo again. The fact that 1 and 11's logo are dragons that are both looking at each other. They're kind of like bookends. They're kind of like, all right, that was the beginning of this Dragon Quest story. This is the end of this Dragon Quest story. It's all done. We are moving on to a new chapter in this series. And I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. This is just my interpretation of it. But yeah, that's what I think.
Mm-hmm. I think, you know what, for me, I think it's... One second. I think Hori might be realizing it's time to give the Zenithian trilogy some love. Because, like, 4 or 5, especially 5, are, like, really beloved games, but they haven't really gotten much attention. A lot of the attention has been focused on either online stuff like 10 or on 1, 2, and 3. And I think Hori's probably kind of like, you know what? It's time for me to address these games.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 are like, you know how Pokemon fans complain that every Pokemon game has always references to the very first one, like the Generation 1, and they never acknowledge Gen 2. That's kind of the problem we have with our Dragon Quest series, because the Urger Trilogy is the one game that always has, like, they always make references to it. Every game has some connection to it. And 5, which I think is the best game in the entire series, it's like not like remembered for some reason. You notice that? It's like there's
5 is beloved too.
It's beloved, yeah.
Yeah, because 5 is if you they've done, like, over the years, what are the most demanded remakes of any game, and number 1 would always be Final Fantasy VII, which now has a remake.
Right.
And number 2 would always be Dragon Quest V. But DQ5 needs an asterisk next to it, because DQ5, it was the second most desired remake in Japan, even though it already has 2 remakes. And that tells you something, that people want that 3D remake really bad.
Yeah, and the thing is, I would be all for that, and I already think that the DS version was so good that it's hard to even improve upon that. But the thing is, with this 3 remake, if they remake like Zenithian Trilogy, like the 3 remake, maybe that would be good. I don't know.
Some people are asking if DQ3 HD 2D will be full price. I'm going to say it's going to be $50.
I'm thinking about it. Here's the thing. If it is full price, I think that's well worth the price, because this is clearly a game that's being remade from the ground up. It's not a port. If it was a port, okay, if you guys want to play Dragon Quest 3 on your Switch right now, you can spend, it's on sale on the eShop for like $8 or $9 right now because of the 35th anniversary. That's a fair price if you ask me, because that's a port of an old mobile Nokia phone port. This 3D remake, though, it's clearly being remade from the ground up. There's so much sprite work being put into it. There's obviously a lot of work being put into this. This is very clearly a very expensive game that's being made. If it was $60, I would not complain. I would discourage anybody from complaining if it was full price, because I think it's worth that much.
I don't know. I kind of don't like playing. I don't like the idea, unless it's like a full super 3D remake. I admit that I don't like paying full price for it.
I agree. I don't play full price for anything, but I'm talking about what I think is, if it's worth it to me or not. And I'm thinking, first of all, if it came out and it was $60, I would buy it day one, is the thing. Yeah,
I wouldn't be angry, but I'd be like, I wish it was 50 or even 40.
With that said, I think it's going to be $60. That's my prediction. My prediction is that's going to be a full price game, because I can't see Square Enix nowadays. These companies are selling not even remakes, just like ports of old games. Nintendo especially. You heard about Nintendo's Skyward Sword port is $60. They're selling that.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, because Wind Waker HD was $60.
Yeah, and they're barely different. They're they have a couple sliders changed and stuff. They're not built from the ground up like this Dragon Quest 3.
Well, there's too much bloom in the Wind Waker HD remake, in my opinion.
Yeah, they went over the top to make it look HD, like with all the bloom and all the. It hurts your eyes a little bit.
The sea looks a little too bright.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it looks okay for the most part. I think it looks like mostly an improvement over the original, but it is a little bright. But yeah, again, that's Nintendo we're talking about. What about Square Enix? Square Enix, how much did they sell their remakes for? Well, we haven't seen a lot of remakes from Square Enix, have we? How much was Octopath and at launch, or the Triangle game? I'm gonna Google this, because that's probably a fair assessment of what price the game will be. So I'm looking it up right now. Project Triangle.
Octopath was $60.
It was $60. Yeah, I expected that. So I'm looking at Project Triangle, because that's the new one. How much is this going to be? Is it not even on for pre-order? What the heck? Project Triangle strategy price. Let's see.
Yeah, I would pay full price for 3 if the new if they said, hey, there's a ton of new content here. Then I would be like, all right, okay.
And I feel
I guess I could go with that.
Yeah, and I feel like if there was a ton of new content, they would have told us right here. They would have told us. That's another thing, because they would have advertised that. They would have wanted to advertise that right at the reveal. So here's what I think 3's remake is going to be. I think 3's remake is going to be the complete Dragon Quest 3 experience, with all the content from the Game Boy Color version, just a nice game. And I think there might be some hidden content that they won't advertise that might just be in the game, is another thing. Yeah.
I think that we mentioned this earlier. The Game Boy dungeon needs to come back.
Yep.
I'm a little hesitant about the bronze, silver, and gold coins coming back, because those took forever to get. But I'm all for new dungeons and stuff. I would like something. Have you ever played Lufia 2?
I've heard of it.
There's kind of an endless dungeon type thing. that can be like played once you've beaten the game.
That's cool.
And something like that I would like.
Yeah, like grottos, kind of like Dragon Quest IX, something like that.
Like, grottos would be a good idea. I would not be against that.
There's a lot they could do with this game, and we're like going crazy thinking about this. Like, oh wow, what if they had this? What if they had that? And then there's just a possibility that it's just Dragon Quest 3, but just looks nicer.
yeah, that's the fair right now.
That's the more likely thing that's going to happen. But here's the biggest hope that at minimum, right, I want them to include all the Game Boy Color stuff that they robbed us from the Nokia port from 2 years ago. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be 2 different Dragon Quest 3s on a Switch, if this comes to Switch, because we don't know what console it's going to come out on, because they didn't tell us.
Right.
It's got to come out on Switch, though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The thing is that 2D... No, what is Octopath Traveler? What is that on? It's on Switch, I know that.
It's on PC.
And it's on PC, is that it?
Yeah, it's on Switch and PC, and let me look it up. What else?
So is that like a Nintendo first-party developer, or no?
Wait, I'm... Because they announced Octopath at the Switch reveal, didn't they? Like, I think they announced it during the convention or like the very beginning Switch reveal, and Nintendo announced it. Okay, it's.
I'm just wondering how strong their connection to Nintendo is.
Square Enix Business Division 11 and Acquire is the developer. Published by Square Enix. Is there anything? It released on Nintendo Switch, then the next year released on Windows, and the year after that the Xbox One. So, development and release. I'm looking it up even more because I'm interested in knowing how heavy Nintendo's influence was on this game.
Because I guess it was just limited exclusivity.
I guess that's just it. It looks like it's a Square Enix game first and foremost. Is kind of what it looks like.
Just looking through the chat, seeing if there's anything else.
Oh, remixes of the original soundtrack. Okay, so here's why I think that we will get a symphonic score in this Dragon Quest III remake, because people have been asking about that. The trailer had a symphonic score in it. I mean, it did, right?
Yeah, and that's probably a shoo-in, because I think symphonic scores have become the norm.
Yeah.
And they're like so in demand at this point.
People complain. People will complain if it's not symphonic. Because when 11 came out in the West, people were complaining about the symphonic score, and Square Enix probably thought, holy crap, I didn't realize that they liked that so much, and they brought it back in the 11S. I think it's very fair to expect that 3 Remake will be symphonic, because of the fact that the trailer was symphonic, and that would be like false advertising if it's not symphonic in the actual game, the final game.
And all the mobile ports have them. So you have like an entire new set of gamers who have played the mobile versions and therefore are used to the symphonic.
Yeah, so it would be like a downgrade. Imagine like the mobile ports get symphonic and this remake. First of all, if Square Enix gives this 3 remake a MIDI soundtrack, that is going to be the biggest mistake they've ever done, because it's going to ruin the game. It's gonna screw the game up pretty much, because the way that game looks, it needs a symphonic score to go with it.
Well, the best possible outcome is what Falcom does with its remakes. They'd put all of the soundtracks in the option menu, and you choose.
That'd be
That's
nice.
the best possible scenario.
Yeah, even 11. Isn't it funny how 11's demo had symphonic score, but you'd have to buy the real game to get the MIDI score? That was kind of funny. Like,
oh yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, because why would anyone want the MIDI score? It's like
I know there was a reason. I don't remember why. I can't remember why.
Everything's so secretive with this stuff. It's hard to know anything about this, you know.
Yeah, and then we don't find out till like 10 years later.
Yeah, like, oh, we did that because of this. Oh boy. Any more interesting questions popping in or comments?
Right now they're just chatting about what we're chatting about. Oh, there were some questions about the battle system. Honestly, I know they said that it's going to have some changes. I still think it's going to be a turn-based system for sure. They're just going to add a little more intrigue to it. My theory right now is that you'll have contextual attacks, kind of like Chrono Trigger, in which some attacks will only hit a certain area, and that you'll be able to move around. And that I think the moving around in 11 was kind of the prototype to see what they could do with it, because it was just aesthetic. in 11, it was just for pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe now it's going to be for gameplay. That like maybe you don't want to keep your party members too close to each other because an AoE attack might hit them all.
I think that's an interesting theory, and the 11 free roaming battle thing. At first, I thought it was like there was some sort of real time aspect to it, but really it's useless. And as soon as I played 11, I immediately switched it to the classic system because I prefer that. But yeah, that's interesting. I remember you saying that the other night. My personal theory, right, is it's a little bit different. What I think they're gonna try to go with the action turn-based hybrid kind of thing. Like, you ever played the Super Mario RPGs, like Bowser's Inside Story and those games?
There's a name for it. It's timed hits.
The what?
That's what they're called. Timed hits.
Timed tit? Did you just say timed tits?
No, I did not say that.
Okay, that's what I heard. I was like, what the heck?
Okay, I'm gonna spell this out for you, Zach.
Okay.
TIMED.
Okay.
HITS.
Okay.
Timed hits.
Timed hits. Okay. I thought you said timed. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes, timed hits. Okay. If that's the name of the battle system. So basically, what I think is going to happen is it's going to be a turn-based game. You select your attack, you attack the enemy. Except when the main character gets up to the bad guy and pulls out his sword, he's gonna like rear it back, and at the right moment you have to hit X or whatever, and then he goes pow, and like it gets like more powerful depending on how accurate your timing is. I'm thinking they're gonna try to do cool stuff like that with 11, or not 11, with 12, and that's kind of what I hope, because I like things still being simple. But having that little bit of interactivity, because the thing is, when I play 11 and the Luminary attacks people with his sword, I instinctively hit the X button whenever he rears back his sword, just because it just feels right. It's like pressing A and B during Pokemon when you're throwing your Pokeball. It just feels right. So if they make it so that hitting the button at the right moment would give you like a crit attack or like more powerful attack or something, that would be a really nice way to make it more interactive. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
It's a possibility. It's just that they have done a lot of ideas like that over the years. Like Final Fantasy VIII for Squall's limit breaks. If you hit R1 at the right point, it worked. Paper Mario had like a more advanced system. I don't know if you've played the Paper Mario games.
I only played.
Have you?
I only play Mario and Luigi games. I only play those. I haven't played Paper Mario.
Well, first off, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is an excellent game, and has one of the best Mario stories ever. But yeah, like Mario and Luigi games, those had a really complex timed hit system, because like everything had like its own thing. The shell moved this way, so you had to time it. It's like there was like a lot of contextualization with every attack. So yeah, and so you had games like that. You had Super Robot Wars Endless Frontier, where like you're literally doing like fighting game combos in a turn-based system. So like yeah, there's an entire history behind the timed hit system. And so I'm wondering that if they do that, how would they do it? How if they would do anything different from all the games before that have done it.
Yeah, because there'd have to be like some sort of spin on it to make it unique.
Yeah, because there is a whole history behind this. And if you think about it, a lot of like mobile games do it these days, like Pokemon Go, which I used to play a lot of, that had a lot of timing and stuff to it.
Really? So the fact that it's so widespread and that Dragon Quest has not adopted it yet, maybe Dragon Quest could perfect it, like take this system that's been going all around for years and has been used and is kind of underrated, and try to make the best version of it. What do you think?
I would just want Hori to do his own take on it.
That would be interesting. And it would be a nice way, because I know everyone's freaking out because, tradition, and they don't want the turn-based to go away. I don't think the turn-based is going to go away, but they're going to do something interesting with the turn-based to make it more engaging and more interactive than ever before, essentially, is what I think is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a turn-based system as well. Though they just want to change up the battle system. I'm surprised a lot of people out there don't know that not every turn-based system is the same. There are like hundreds of different kinds out there.
Yep.
and that this is like nothing to freak out about. They've done like so many like different things in the past.
Yeah, people need to calm down a little bit. There's a lot of comments. Action turn-based. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that ATB thing is in the past and is never going to come back ever again. That's what I think. People are, because a lot of people are wondering, and maybe it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be ATB because here's the reason. Well, here's the reason why. A lot of people who did not grow up in that era freak out when they go back to that era. I was surprised to find that out. Like, there's an entire generation of RPG gamers who, like, when they go back and they play ATB games, they're like, what is this? And they get, like, tense and have anxiety attacks when they play the game.
Anxiety
and I'm
attacks.
like, yeah, you need to really, like, see these people on r/JRPG sometimes. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm there and I'm freaking out and, like, I want to be able to take my time. And, and I'm fine with people wanting, like, not liking ATB, but it's just surprising to see to what extent. Like, I've even run into, and what I'm about to state is a bad opinion. I'm fine with people fine with people not liking ATB, but I'm not fine with someone saying turn-based can only be you waiting in place. That opinion I don't like. That's a bad opinion. As if like turn-based has to be like this one way.
Yeah, I personally am not a fan of ATB. I think, to me, it's not what I'm looking for in a turn-based game. What I'm looking for in a turn-based game is I'm looking for a game where I can sit down, think for a long time, and just do things at my own leisure. That's kind of what I expect out of a turn-based game, personally, for me. I know a lot of people love Final Fantasy VI. I think Final Fantasy VI is a perfectly fine game. I think the only game...
I think Final Fantasy VI is good, and just good. I know it's a hot take for some people, because I grew up in that era, and when I tell it to other people who grew up in that same era with me, they're like, "You don't think it's the best thing ever?" And I'm like, "No, it's good. it's not perfect."
Yeah,
and they're like, "What?"
It's funny because I never had this strong connection with Final Fantasy VI or anything, and obviously, I only got into it like in the last decade sort of. But Final Fantasy, the only game I've ever played where I actually enjoyed the ATB was Chrono Trigger, because I thought Chrono Trigger did really well the way they did it. Chrono Trigger has what's called ATB 2.0, and the nice thing about that is that the beginning speed at battle, the beginning location of your bars at the beginning of battle is not random. And if you outspeed the enemy, you automatically get your turn, and that is really nice. Yeah, because it is cool, and you can like wait on the menu, and like you're kind of has like a rhythm to it. I thought Chrono Trigger did it really good, and that Final Fantasy VI didn't do it as good. And Chrono Trigger is what Final Fantasy VI should have been. Like the dual tacks, like waiting for two guys to get their bars ready so you can like do things. Like it just nailed the ATB thing, and then nobody ever used it again. That system.
Final Fantasy X-2 uses it very well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very fast paced, and it like the bars grow and are the size of the waiting bars are change up depending on what attack you used last. It's a bit interesting.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. I haven't played 10-2.
Its story is awful, but the gameplay is really good.
Okay.
I also really Final Fantasy V also did ATB really well. If just because it's a fast-paced game, just a warning, it's a very hard game.
Yeah.
That was the last difficult Final Fantasy.
I gave up on Final Fantasy V. I thought it was fun. I thought the job system was pretty decent, and it's
great.
It had a lot of cool things I think Dragon Quest should have adopted. I think like the way kind of skills move between classes. But I think Dragon Quest does a pretty good job with its class system.
Yeah, I really like Final Fantasy V's job system, and I like what the Bravely games have done with it. By the way, Bravely Default 2, I love that game. I absolutely loved it.
Is it good? I never played it.
Yeah. Bravely Default 2. It came out in February, I think, or March. But man, I loved it. I 100%ed that game. Took me 90 hours. Every moment was glorious. I love that game.
Wow.
The story is sometimes it has its lower moments, but when it's good because what it does is it takes old Final Fantasy tropes from 1 through 5 and then does new things with them. So like finding the crystals, that was always like a big part of the early Final Fantasies.
Mm-hmm.
But what's cool is that the crystals actually have very strange reactions on the world. So like you go to the desert town, and like there's a desert town in like every other RPG, but the interesting thing about the desert town in Bravely Default 2 is that it's completely flooded because the water crystal has been smuggled there and it's growing out of control. So now you have this contrasting imagery of like the typical RPG desert town, and then like, but you also have, it's also completely flooded.
Wow, that sounds interesting. So it's a good game. You recommend it then?
Yes, I highly recommend. And the gameplay is like the best gameplay, RPG gameplay like I've played this year.
Interesting. That's pretty good. Coming, and you think Final Fantasy VI is okay, but you think Bravely Default 2 is amazing. So it's got to be pretty good then.
Yeah, it like because like what Bravely Default has done is it takes 5's job system and has advanced on it, which is what I've always wanted. And yeah, I'm happy they've done that. Yeah, I won't spoil anything else from Bravely Default 2. Right. I know a lot of people don't like the last third of the game. I like it. I think that there's a huge aversion to like surrealism these days. I love it when stories get weirder and weirder.
All right, so we're joined by James. James is Solstice from Twitter. Introduce yourself to the chat, James.
Yo, I'm James, and I'm Solstice from Twitter. I like Dragon Quest, I think. Nice to meet you guys.
Great.
Hello.
His mic's,
so
your mic's a little...
what are you talking about?
Alright, just putting your mic down a little bit. We're just talking about, you know, speculation, stuff about 12s, our favorite games. What games are you playing this year? Anything good?
Oh, let me fix my microphone.
Yeah, fix your mic. It's a little muffled. Yeah.
A little muffled and a little bit low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, James.
Okay, someone's mentioning the Final Fantasy VII remake in the chat, and I know the other day we were talking about what the Western influence on DQ12 can be. All right, let me just say this: I am tired of holding the joystick forward while my character very slowly crawls through a corridor. I am very tired of these non-puzzles where like move the giant robot hand really slowly to solve this puzzle that's not a puzzle. I cannot stand this Western nonsense. I don't play a lot of Western games because I can't stand that stuff, and I don't want it in my JRPGs.
Yes, I feel the same way. Like, well, didn't you a while ago tell me you wanted to see a Dragon Quest stealth game? What about that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, a Dragon Quest stealth game would be really cool, and I like maybe you could play as the monsters for that. That would be fun.
Do you have any game in mind for stealth game, like inspiration?
That's a good question. I'd have to really think about it, about what I'd want from a stealth game. What I'd want from a Dragon Quest stealth game. But since Dragon Quest has decided it's going to cover every genre, I want it just for the sake of having it.
What about something like Dishonored or something?
Say that again? Your mic's still a little bit low.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I thought I fixed it. Okay, give me a second.
Oh yeah, he'll put his mic up a little bit. I had to put his volume up a little tiny bit. Just hope it doesn't explode in our ears.
I liked Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I thought it was a great game. I think each Witcher game did something good that the others didn't do. But Witcher 3 did not have dumb puzzles. Like a lot of games like I don't even know. I can't stand these Western games sometimes. They're so slow. They have you do like a million useless things. You like the Star Wars game. Fallen Order?
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. I bought that recently on sale for $20.
You know what? You paid the right price for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's such a ton of go this way, down this corridor thing, and then like you go through you shimmy through the little holes holding the joystick forward. It's Western games, the game, and I'm kind of tired of that.
I thought that game didn't know what it wanted to be because it was trying to be Dark Souls and Uncharted at the same time, and you can't be both. Description. You can't be both of them. Like Dark Souls is a game that does not have a lot of cutscenes. You're kind of just going and fighting stuff, and then it had all these cutscene breaks, and it was just it was not a very good Souls-like game. Essentially, that's kind of what I could say.
It was too clunky, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, the gameplay is so good." No, that's a clunky game.
I agree.
Dark Souls is heavy. Assuredly, it's very heavy, but it's not clunky.
I agree. I couldn't get the hype, honestly. I was like, wait, this game everyone's saying is amazing. It's like it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's a problem with that game. I just didn't like it.
What about Demon Souls?
Demon Souls. I haven't played that. You have a PS5, don't you? Have you played it yet?
I have not. I've played games on PS4 obviously, but I haven't played like Demon Souls or any of the big sort of PS5 games at the moment. A lot of them do look interesting, but none have like really made me want to pay like $90 yet. You know what I mean?
If I had a PS5, I would probably get Demon Souls because I played that on the PS3. I platinumed that game. I played. If people in chat probably don't realize, but I like the Souls franchise a lot, and I've played every single one of them. I played Demon Souls when it came out, and it's a great game. It's a really fun game. It's got this really cool atmosphere, a lot of crazy, wild characters. It's got a lot of like good music. It's got great monster designs. It's got great level design. It's got great difficulty. It's a really, really, really good game, and I think it's actually one of my favorite Souls games. Even though it was the very first one, I think they got a lot of things right the first time. And if I had a PS5, I'm just saying I would get it if I had a PS5. What were you saying?
People are mentioning that Fallen Order was a clunkier Sekiro. Yeah, and Sekiro is a great game. I love Sekiro. Even though it's got its flaws, it might be my favorite Souls game.
Damn, that's a bold statement.
Because like I do like all of like the defending you have to do. It takes a lot to get used to, but like once you do, it's like really fun because there are some things that can only be dodged, some things that can only be parried, and I thought that was, and some things you can only jump over, and I thought that was like really cool.
It's still so expensive is the problem. I can't. It's never going on sale, so that's like.
Yeah, like the lowest I've seen it for is $50.
God damn! Like you win one Game of the Year award, and you think you can sell your game for $60 every single. Yeah.
Fair, though,
suddenly you think you're Nintendo.
Yeah.
Builders 2 has been selling at like $70 for like the past since its release on Steam.
Which one?
Builders 2.
Builders
it's always been like $70 or something.
It is, and the Dragon Quest series has a really big problem with that because Square Enix usually discounts their Final Fantasy games to like $10-15 at some point, but Dragon Quest games like 11S is still $60 on the Steam store right now. It's like they're all really expensive and they never go on sale ever. It's ridiculous.
That is pretty ridiculous. It harms them, I think. They should just go ahead because there's 12 coming out soon. Well, not soon, but like upcoming. So there's no reason to not put them on sale and get more fans.
I've heard so many people. I've told so many people to play these games, and they've always said no because it's never going on sale. So I've never decided to pick them up. And I'm thinking, the people at Square Enix are thinking, like, what are you thinking? Like, why not put them on sale so more people will be willing to play them, and then your franchise will become more popular? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make any sense to me either. That being said, though, Dragon Quest games are on sale right now. The 35th anniversary. Dragon Quest XI-S is currently $25. It's normally about $50 on Steam.
Yeah.
Dragon Quest Builders 2 is being reduced by 35%, which is the biggest cut it's ever had. And it's been out for almost 2 years now, 3 years now. This is the first sale I've ever seen Dragon Quest Builders 2 have.
I've seen it on sale before.
It was on sale once before last year, but it always goes down to $35 and it never goes lower than that. And it's happened a couple times, like not very often.
Yeah, it's about the same price now.
And Builders 2 has one of the best stories in the series. I like it better than some numbered games.
It does, but the
problem...
Have we what?
Have you guys discussed Dragon Quest Offline yet?
No, not really.
Dragon Quest 11, Dragon Quest 10 Offline. What
I
do you
just
guys
want to
think
hear
of the
what
art
Chief had
style?
to say
go
before
on.
we move on to that.
What was I gonna say? I don't remember what I was gonna say.
It was something referencing Builders 2.
God. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say it was too long. It's way too long.
Really? No, I liked the length of it. I liked every minute of that story.
Yeah. I really wish you had cross saves on it though. Like if you're playing the Nintendo Switch version, you can just like load up your save on the Steam version because the Switch version runs at an unstable 30 FPS in the like building bit, and then that's where you realize that it's better off just buying like the PS4 or Steam version. But then you realize it has to play through 40 hours of story again. That's the only thing I dislike about it.
That would be nice, to be fair. All right.
Yeah, that was the thing of the Switch version.
Yeah. All right. So we're talking about Dragon Quest X offline version. Anything you want to say about it, James?
Yeah, what do you think about the art style? Because to me, like, it's been a little bit controversial in the West. Like, there's like a few people who seem very vocal about it being like a chibi art style, and they think it's not a very good representation of the game. But I think it's a really good throwback to like Dragon Quest IX. What do you guys think?
I don't think it didn't remind me of 9 at all. The particular chibi they went for, it looked a lot different.
Yeah, because the bodies in 9 are a little taller than the ones. I can see what they're going for. But yeah, 9's art style is a little bit different than the 10 art style. I don't particularly think it looks bad, and I think a few screenshots, like comparisons, have popped up showing that the environments of 10 offline actually look better than the original 10 because the original 10's a Wii game, so it looks better.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see what they do, like the online features, like houses and stuff. One of my friends suggested that they should like transform the houses into like an Animal Crossing sort of thing, where like you can like you got your own like little world where you can like bring stuff into it and like really develop it, like sort of like a different game within a game sort of thing. That'd be really nice to see.
It's interesting that you're mentioning Animal Crossing because Hori did say last year that he was playing Animal Crossing. So maybe this 10 offline version is based on Animal Crossing. What do you think?
All right, I'm gonna spoiler right now.
Okay.
It's gonna be like you're in a monster town, and it's filled with just Dragon Quest monsters everywhere, and it's gonna be like Animal Crossing, but with just Toriyama monsters everywhere, and they're all talking, and you gotta like build their houses and stuff.
I would love that. That'd be great.
I didn't mind the chibi. Not sprites. The models for 10 offline, those looked fine. Some of the textures did seem a bit cheap of the grounds. That's what I noticed. But we'll see. Maybe this is. I don't know if this is alpha footage or what, or if it's beta footage.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to wait. Yeah. I'm willing to wait to see how far it goes.
Yeah. They didn't say when it's coming out, but I think it's probably going to come out next year. That sounds likely, because otherwise, they announced a bunch of stuff that's not coming out this year at all. And yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of games have been going for chibi art style. Like there's this game I've been playing a lot recently called Rune Factory 4 Special. It's not got the best graphics. It's sort of like chibi kind of graphics, but it's still a really good game. And
well, that was originally a 3DS game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has 5 come out yet?
Oh, it's out in Japan. It's already out in Japan.
When is it coming out in the West?
I think we have to wait for E3 for that, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think we know exactly when it's coming out in the West yet, but it came out in Japan last week. It's not chibi anymore. It's got like fully big characters.
Yeah.
It's all 3D
looking.
looking.
Because it was made for the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
really good.
I want to play 4 first, because I heard 4 was like the watershed moment for the series. It was where like all the great ideas kind of came together.
Yeah. That was the first one I played. Yeah, for Rune Factory 4, for everyone listening right now, we're talking about Rune Factory, my Rune Factory obsession. Like, Rune Factory 4 is the best life simulator game I've ever played. It blows Animal Crossing out of the water. It's what Animal Crossing should have been. It's what Animal Crossing should have been.
100%. It's so good.
I just beat Rune Factory 1.
Yeah.
So, like, so I'm kind of going through the series.
Interesting. So you're going through it in numerical order?
No, I'm kind of like limited on time because I have a list of games that I want to beat before the year is over, or even before like the end of next month. So like, I'm just gonna jump to 4.
Okay, these guys are asking which game because people in the comments are seeing. We're talking about Rune Factory 4 Special on the Switch, which is a farming simulator. It's part of the Harvest Moon series, but it's a fantasy RPG version of Harvest Moon. It has really addicting gameplay, and the dating simulation in this game is the best dating simulation I've ever seen in any video game ever. It is so well done. It is so deep.
It's realistic.
It's realistic because the characters actually feel realistic. It's not like Persona 5, where in Persona 5 you just go hang out with some person 6 times in a row and then they immediately want to be your girlfriend. That's not how it works in Rune Factory. In Rune Factory, you actually have to talk to them. You actually have to say the right thing. You have to give them gifts that they like. You have to actually go on dates with them and like choose the things.
Character development.
Yeah, there's character development. You have to like actually get to know them. It's like really, really deep and really well done. I'm amazed that nobody ever talks about Rune Factory 4 on a higher level. You know?
Yeah, same. But I do think for Rune Factory 5 that we'll probably get a release date at E3 because the publishers for the game are going to be presenting there. So I do think we will get a release date worldwide.
That'd be nice. I'm definitely going to get a day one. Definitely get a day one. When's E3 again?
I think it's
next month?
June the 17th.
Damn. I wonder if they're going to show Dragon Quest off at E3. Probably not.
I think
Probably
Valve
not.
might get like a cinematic trailer, but like a really short one or something. Maybe they'll give us a little bit more.
I want something. I want 3. I think 3 Remake is probably like the best bet for what we're gonna see next. Like, big time.
I agree. Yeah, if we're gonna see anything at E3, it will be 3 Remake. I think 12. We're not getting anything till the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like I said offline after on Wednesday offline, I said, what did I say? I said that this teaser for 12 was deliberate and calculated. That they gave us this with like this really like harrowing imagery to make us like salivate and think about it for the next few months.
Yeah. Because that's all I'm gonna do is be thinking about it. They didn't even show us a character. They didn't even show us anything. Like.
Yeah, it gives me like really dark vibes. Like when Yuji Horii says something's going to be dark, it's going to be really dark.
Yeah, like
I mean, all the Dragon Quest games are dark.
Yeah. And Yuji Horii said it's going to be Dragon Quest for adults, and everyone's memeing on that and saying, "Ooh, Dragon Quest for adults." But this is the creator of the series saying, at this point, my game series is not being for adults. This one is going to be. That's kind of heavy, like the fact that he's saying that.
Yeah. I want to know maybe how much he was speaking off the cuff for that. Or if if that's just like kind of to tagline the game a bit, maybe to get more fans in.
Yeah,
because I'm not really like, because I feel like Dragon Quest has always on some level been for adults, just not the way other people say this is mature. So like, I think he's just saying that to just kind of emphasize that this game is gonna probably go to like it's gonna be a bit more than the others, in terms of like the regard towards dark content, for lack of better words.
Yeah, I think because here's the thing, I always considered it for adults. Actually, I consider Dragon Quest VIII to be a game for everyone, like a game for kids and adults and teenagers and like every person from every walk of life is supposed to like Dragon Quest. If he says that this is for adults, then the way I interpret it is this is not for kids, is kind of what I think.
Definitely not.
No.
So I just want to address a question really quickly. I need a Dragon Quest rhythm game. There was. It was called Theaterism. I need a Dragon Quest rhythm game. It was called Dragon Quest Theaterism, and it did not come out in America. I do own a copy though.
I own a copy as well. Yeah,
if you get a chance, do play it. It's really good
it's
game.
Playable. You don't need to know Japanese to play it. It's a rhythm game. You're playing Dragon Quest songs, and there's bad guys you're fighting while you're playing the songs, and like it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, but I'm just so excited for this whole dark thing they're going for, because like I've been playing a series called Shadow Hearts recently, and it's just like I'm just hoping it's like that. Like SMT3 remake, I hope it's something like that as well. a really
I don't think it's
dark
going to
narrative.
go that far. I think what it's going to be is like all of the more harrowing stuff from 4 and 5 and the beginning of Act 2 of 11, and it's going to be like those types of things. Just it's going to be throughout the game rather than like parts of the game.
Damn, that's depressing as hell. Like, so just a really depressing Dragon Quest game from beginning to end.
I don't think it'll be really depressing. I think it'll be like, you know how 5 could juggle both like the really like mature stuff like slavery while also juggling like, you know, the sort of like fairy tale vibe that Dragon Quest usually has. I think they're just going to do that for the entire game.
What do you think about the whole choices thing? Because he really put a massive emphasis on that. In fact, the only words other than the title was about choices.
Chosen.
It seems like that's the main theme of the game.
Even the title has the word choices in it. It's called The Chosen Flame of Destiny, so it's even in the title. Okay.
What do you guys think about that?
All right, so we talked about this earlier. I think that's the gimmick of Dragon Quest XII, is that you make choices. That is the big thing of this game. That is the big theme. The big gameplay mechanic is going to be the fact that you change stuff and that there are multiple branching story paths, perhaps, and maybe permanent choices. Maybe you have to live with your choices. Maybe there's an autosave and you don't get to reboot your save and try again.
Ooh,
That'd be interesting.
That'd be very dark.
Yeah.
What's it called? I'll just mention what I mentioned on Wednesday. This is like my crackpot theory, is that this is a game where the evil has already won. It has won, it rules the world, and you have to choose between how you, and your choices will basically surround how you deal with that power that rules the world. Will you choose to like gain a darker power to gain power faster? Or will you choose like to go down the side of light, which takes more time to become more powerful, but it does make the game a bit harder at first.
So
there's a lot of things that choice could mean though. Like it's like he really left it really open ended. But the one thing we know for sure, it's not going to be like Dragon Quest V choices where it's like choosing a bride or anything. But it might be like, you know, something a lot deeper. Like you guys said, maybe like maybe it could like it's sort of like Dishonored where like the ending changes or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the choices affect the world and it changes things around you. It's so hard to speculate because we don't know anything yet, but...
Or maybe it'd be like Detroit Become Human or something.
Yeah, like one of those visual novel-y kind of adventure games. And the thing about Hori is he did invent the visual novel after all. It's like...
Yeah.
This is the man who created the visual novel. People watching... He created the Japanese role-playing game and the Japanese visual novel. Also, this guy. It's kind of crazy.
He's got a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Like I'm still on like, again, my crackpot theory is that either S-Stark already, again, I really do want the DQ4, 5, and 6 connection. Yeah. Either S-Stark rules the world, or you befriend the man who becomes S-Stark, and he kind of like introduces you to like the secret of evolution, and like you can choose to go down that path if you want to.
That would be
also like Pissarro.
Yeah, like Sorrow, he said.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because remember, Sorrow was like trying to revive S-Stark. Because S-Stark was like the first one.
We play as him.
Yeah. I wouldn't say you play as S-Stark because that would mean there's a canon ending. It means that no matter what, you do become S-Stark in the timeline. So maybe S-Stark will be in the game either as the villain, or you know him when he was a human.
That'd be cool.
Ooh.
I think that was Hori's original plan for 6, was for you to play as a character who eventually becomes a demon lord. And in the Iceberg video, I mentioned that he wanted Terry to originally become S-Stark, and that was my theory, right? But I actually...
That's still a theory. Because of the secret ending to 6. If you defeat the secret final boss,
yeah,
he goes to see him, the secret final boss, one last time for power.
And you're sure it's for power, but he just goes there for some reason in the credits. For some strange reason, he goes there just to see him, and then the final boss shows up, and then the screen goes black. Everyone thinks that he like merged with him, or he got the secret of evolution and became powerful and became S-Stark. It's hard to tell. It's really vague, and you know what? I think you're right. I think we need a Zenithian connection to like answer all these questions that have never been answered. Honestly,
I think we need a Dragon Quest origin story that covers the very beginnings of Dragon Quest, from pre-Dragon Quest XI, covering the Rubis novels.
We already kind of discussed this. We're kind of tired of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we personally, I don't want to see anything ever like regarding the Origin trilogy ever again in the series because I'm just so sick of it.
I'm fine with Erdwin being the first events of this franchise. I'm completely okay with that.
Even though there's a lot of room for characters before Erdwin, to be fair, there is, because the thing is, we don't know where Erdwin got his shield, we don't know where the Forge or Mount Fuji came from, we don't know where the Ig Dragon came from, we don't know who the first Erdrick was before Erdwin, because there's evidence that there was one. I hate how many questions they brought up in 11. It just unsettles me, you know?
Well, see, that's the thing with the Rubis novels, is it actually explains a lot of that, which is why I think it'd be a really good idea if they adapted it into a game.
Well, I know the Rubis novels are non-canon, but when do they take place? Is it like before DQ3?
The very beginning of Dragon Quest. It's literally like how Dragon Quest started, basically. That's my interpretation of Rubis, at least. There are fan translations being made, so I think they'll be out soon, so you guys can read it for yourselves. I obviously won't be linking them, but you guys will be able to find it, maybe, somewhere. Who knows?
I'll have to look.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I 100% recommend reading it. It's very good. I won't spoil anything either, because it's very full of spoilery content, but it definitely 100% happens first out of any Dragon Quest game, Dragon Quest story. 100%.
Medicare in the chat makes a good point. Not everything needs to be explained. I'm kind of fine with like Erdwin's shield not being explained. I'm kind of fine with Kalasmos being this thing that came from outer space. You know, I'm okay with not everything having like a full-on explanation.
See, that's what Dragon Quest sort of does. It leaves room for like us to fill in the gaps. Like it feeds us with a lot of information. Like even this origin story doesn't feed us with enough information to fill the gap between that and Dragon Quest XI. Like that's the sort of thing that Dragon Quest does. It's not like direct connections, it's always loose connections. Like even with like direct sequels, there's not really like any explanation of what happens between them both, even though we can obviously tell they come after one another.
And I agree, and I think that's a good thing about Dragon Quest is the fact that you can interpret everything and you can kind of piece together everything yourself. Well, that said, like I said earlier that I actually would prefer that that the new game is a brand new story with no connection to previous games at all. It's kind of what I want.
And knowing Yuji Horii, he's going to find some way to connect it.
Yeah. Preferably the Zenithian trilogy over the Order trilogy, because done with that.
Yeah.
Done with that.
Yeah, and Dragon Quest X and Dragon Quest IX are basically their own things.
For now.
Well, yeah, for now. Depends what happens in version 6.
Right. Okay.
Which is exciting.
We just got a super chat. All right, let's read it out loud, guys. Do we know for a fact if Toriyama has done designs for the recent last games, or if they're done by staff at Bird Studio? All right, so let me explain to you guys what Bird Studio is. Bird Studio is Toriyama's company, right? But it's more like just another like a pseudonym. Honestly, it's him is what it is. So if it has Bird Studio written at the bottom, then that means it was done by Toriyama himself, is what it means. Bird Studio is Toriyama's house. So if you go to Toriyama's house, outside of his house, it will say Bird Studio. His house is Bird Studio. He is Bird Studio. That's what he is, pretty much. It's not really a place with staff and stuff. Square Enix has staff that try to mimic his designs, right? They try to mimic his art style, try to mimic his designs. Like, if you go play the mobile games like Dragon Quest of the Stars or Dragon Quest Tact or anything, those were not designed by Toriyama. The only drawings Toriyama made are the are the ones that you see in the Toriyama art book and the promotional images for the games, for the mainline games, and for some of the spin-offs. And it has to have the word, and if it has Birch Studio at the bottom, that means he drew it. That's basically what it means.
Yeah, and the cover art for most of the Dragon Quest games.
Yep.
In fact, he didn't even make, like all the wiki art for all the Dragon Quest XI characters. I believe he didn't actually draw those himself. It was a team of people who did his artwork for him.
Yep.
And same with the Rivals artwork too. That was all done by a different studio.
Yeah, that was all done by a different studio. I don't think it's basically he doesn't do a lot of work unless it's really, really important, unless it's like a big project. Most of the time for 11 he did the cover art and he did drawings of every single character. He did exactly one drawing or two drawings of each of them, and that was it. And everything else is a drawing made in his art style, trying to mimic his style essentially.
What do you think the music will be like in Dragon Quest XII if it's dark? They're gonna have to like make some new, really like sort of make the music fit the tone.
Like I said, there's plenty dark in 4, 5, and 6, and there's music in those games to match it, and I think it's just going to be like that. Again, like I before you came on, I told this to sackchief, dark is not a single one homogeneous thing. Like this isn't something we should be looking at in black and white. Between something being lighthearted and dark, there's a lot of shades in between. And I don't think this is going to be the most depressing game ever. I don't think that this is going to look like Dark Souls. I think it's going to be like... Sort of. I don't even think that. I would not want this looking like a Western game. I think it's just going to be like the darker parts of like 5, just more of it.
Well, it's not like 5's choices. So maybe...
he said like it's not like 5's marriage choices. That's what he said.
I think that was pretty important though, like, that was like basically the whole premise of the game, even though there's like lots of premises. Like the whole, experiencing different generation throughout the game. It'd be interesting to see, what sort of direction he's going to take with Dragon Quest XII, but at the moment there's not enough information to really decide on, to like assume what direction he's taking with the game. All we can do is like assume based on what he's done in the past.
I think the teaser with the whole burned, like the ground would like looked very arid, kind of apocalyptic, said a lot. Because that's why I'm kind of leaning towards the that evil has already won. It's kind of like the Mistborn trilogy, if anyone has read that, where the Dark Lord has already won. He's already rules the world. And the reason why you have to make such hard choices is because, alright, how do we attain the power to overthrow him? And where are we willing to, like, compromise ourselves in order to get that power to beat him? That's kind of why I'm going in that direction. Because, like, that was, like, the imagery we were given on Wednesday.
Yeah, well, that would be a really good scenario, I think, but honestly, I fully trust Yuji Horii, and I'm willing to just be surprised by whatever he comes out with in terms of the story. I mean, he's not let us down ever since Dragon Quest I, in my opinion. He's always, done his best to deliver high-quality games. I think he even said that. He has a really good motto where he said, he doesn't care like how long the game is or anything. What matters is the correct amount of content's put in the game, even if he has to like delay it.
Right, like he said not about length, but about spaced out content, like bang for your buck, like good amount of content per hour. I said this in my 11 review, my 11S review, that every hour you play in Dragon Quest XI, you feel like you've done a whole lot of things, and you don't feel like you wasted your time at all.
Right. Someone said in regards to what I was saying, select Dragon Quest 1. I think even more so, because in Dragon Quest 1, the king of Alefgard is still the king of Alefgard. A lot of the towns owned by humans are still ruled by humans. I'm thinking that the kings will all already be overthrown and will already have been replaced by monsters.
So it builds one.
Yeah, where like everything is like, already, like, you know how like a king already has his lords and vassals, that like whoever the Dark Lord is, he already has all of his leaders in place at every castle.
And have they done that since DQ1? They did that in DQ1, and then
in DQ1, it's just the Dragon Lord has won, but he still hasn't beaten Alefgard.
Yeah, they're still fighting. There's like a war going on still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Have you guys discussed the potential Dragon Quest 1 and 2 remakes?
We touched on it, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to do HD 2D, or do you think they're going to do something completely different with them?
Probably HD 2D. It's probably going to look exactly the same as this 3 remake, and Hori basically spoiled it, because the thing is, the fact that they whistled at him, that means it's happening, pretty much. I think that's what that means, right?
Yeah, I'm going to have to wait, I think, 2 or 3 years. I think the 25th anniversary of the Monsters series, because he said they're planning on another Monsters game. That's going to be 2 or 3 years to wait, because that's when the 25th anniversary is. So hopefully they'll have a lot of Dragon Quest games like lined up to fill the gap between 12 and the new Monsters game, because those, to me, are the 2 games I'm looking forward to the most. You know, it's like the big Dragon Quest game and the Pokemon rival.
Alright, so we got another super chat. It's from Bradley. What if you're the son of the villain in DQ12 and you're supposed to take over for him and you have to decide if you're with him or against him? Huh. What do you guys think?
Could be an option. I could sort of see, like, maybe you're the son of the villain and maybe you become estranged from him, and you kind of have to decide what you're going to do, because I think that no matter what, I don't think you'll ever have the choice to take over for him. I think the choice will be, what is the path you're going to take to overthrow him? Are you going to, like, take the power of a Fiend Lord to overthrow him, or are you going to try to go, like, the entirely good but more difficult route in order to beat him?
So like Infamous 2, like that kind of game where it's harder.
Yeah, or yeah. That's a good one where it gets harder. Or like Knights of the Old Republic, where starting out as a Sith, you start out much stronger than if you started out as a Jedi.
Yeah, and I like those. I like the morality systems a lot in games. I really like them a lot, because the thing is, especially when you can become more powerful because you're bad, and when you're good you are weaker. But it's like that's the cost of being a good person. I really like that kind of aspect. Here's the thing: I've always wanted Dragon Quest to have you play a not so good guy, not so clean kind of guy, maybe a bad guy. Maybe you can choose to to do bad things. To me, a Dragon Quest 12, a Dark Dragon Quest game to me is a game where you're not this shining, like, Christ-like figure like 11, where you can be corrupted. You
like
can
an anti-hero.
Yeah, an anti-hero or bad or even a villain. This suggestion of being the son of the villain, I think, is actually very cool. I think that would be a really, really neat twist on the game. Like, that would actually be really cool, honestly. Like Luke and Darth Vader kind of thing, where you got to try to.
And it's important that you were raised by the villain. I think that would be like, because one of the Assassin's Creed 3 is like the worst Assassin's Creed.
I agree.
Because it would have been a much more interesting game if like you were actually raised by the bad guy, and then you have to choose what path you're going to take. Would have been a much more interesting game.
Yeah, instead you're this guy who's been already estranged from his father, and so there's no reason to want to like join him, right? It's in fact, I never understood those kind of things like Luke and Vader, where Vader's like, you must join me. Like he never was raised by you. Why would he want to join you? Like, it doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, he knew you for about 5 seconds.
Yeah. If he raised you and then you kind of you choose to like turn against him, and you choose to choose the side of good instead, that would be a cool thing. Or even if you start off as a bad guy and you eventually become good, that would be amazing, I think, as a story.
I wonder how they work party members into that, though.
Yeah.
That'd be quite a complex framework, in my opinion. Like, they're going to like really that's what makes me really sort of like doubt that's what they're going to go for, because Dragon Quest has always been about party members.
They could go the 3 and 9 route, and you make your party members. That's always a possibility.
Maybe like there'll be like a set of party members, and depending on the choices you make, like sort of like I don't want to spoil a certain game, but it's exactly like that. after a certain point. But it's a Fire Emblem game, but I'm not going to say which one. But it's sort of like that, where like not everyone's going to agree with you depending on how much they support your choices, and maybe like certain people will join you, certain people will abandon you, maybe that sort of thing.
The thing with that is that that's a lot of character designs and a lot of writing, and I'm wondering like how far they're willing to go to do that, because it could just be like Baldur's Gate, where like certain party members who disagree with your decisions will leave your party, literally, and the only ones who will like stay are like the ones who are like, yeah, I have no problem with that. So yeah, that's definitely something we'd have to see. It could, and if they go in that direction, I definitely think this is going to be a class system game. Because if they have a lot of characters, it would be much easier to have a game where everyone can use the same attacks. Because you can't really animate too many unique attacks per character.
Yeah. The other thing I'm thinking about is like, given all this like super like linear choices that I'm assuming not linear, non-linear choices that we're going to get in the game, with like branching events, I presume. I wonder how they're going to fit it into the framework of an open world game. That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, we mentioned this on Wednesday. I really want this to be an open world game. 11 originally was going to be one, but the story required 11 to be a linear game, and I understand that. But Dragon Quest it's got a long non-linear history that hasn't been heralded in a while. It hasn't been used as much, and I really want them to bring that back.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would absolutely die for a Dragon Quest open world game with no like loading areas or anything. Just everything seamless like Breath of the Wild.
I don't know if we're gonna get that. That's costs a lot of money.
Yeah, but it's Dragon Quest we're talking about here.
Yeah, but the thing is that 11 had a lot of money put into it, and it was like it still had cut-off areas.
Don't forget, it's also an Unreal Engine 5, which means the sky is the limit, basically, in my opinion.
We'll see. It's a new engine, and that means like it could be a lot of money creating a lot of new assets. So we'll see.
They are hiring people at the moment as well. That's a big thing. So
we'll see. I'm not going to put too much on no cutoff areas, it being like completely seamless. I'm more interested in non-linear storytelling than I am in like a perfectly open world game that has like no that's seamless. Because I think Western games have been doing non-linear storytelling really badly for the past couple of years.
Do you like games like Skyrim?
Yeah, I like the Elder Scrolls games. They do them decent. There's a like Skyrim's a huge, what's it called, can of worms, because there are a lot of complaints that it didn't do its non-linear storytelling very well.
Yeah. Personally, I really love Skyrim for its non-linear storytelling. Like, even though it's still like set in stone what happens, like you're not like forced to do specific things.
Here's the thing. We have to like kind of qualify what we're saying by non-linear storytelling, because a lot of open world games don't have non-linear storytelling. They just have non-linear gameplay, and those are two different things. Like going off to do a side quest is not really non-linear storytelling. Non-linear storytelling is like the stuff that really changes like the course of the game and changes everything. Like I think like the older Fallouts are really good examples of like really good non-linear storytelling.
Yeah. I guess there's a difference between non-linear gameplay and non-linear storytelling. Yeah, but I basically meant that Skyrim does both of them pretty much, but I don't think it goes as in depth as a lot of other games. It's sort of like, it's done so like it's not like complex, so basically any casual gamer can just pick it up. But I think Dragon Quest 12 would be very different to that, and it'll have a lot.
We'll see, because I'm wondering how many Western games Hari has been playing, and I don't want him picking up on a lot of bad ideas that are going on in modern Western games, because I feel like that's a huge problem with Final Fantasy VII. A lot of really bad Western gameplay decisions went into that game that I
think
do
that would
not like.
depend on how much Square Enix is influencing him.
Yeah.
You know, they might be wanting him to do that because they know that those sort of things sell, but they're not exactly like a good thing in terms of like pleasing the current Dragon Quest fans who have high expectations.
Yeah, and I think like Studio One at Square Enix has fallen into the trap where like, if we make it more like Uncharted, you know, this will sell to more people. And so I really don't want like Hurry getting bad advice from people he should not be taking advice from.
That being said, I did really enjoy Final Fantasy VII Remake. I will say though, it doesn't have anything on Dragon Quest for me, but I did really enjoy it. I thought it was a really fun game, and I struggled to put it down. I think they could, like you said, they could incorporate some Western things so long as it doesn't fall into the pitfall of like the really bad Western tropes. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but I really hope Dragon Quest does stay Dragon Quest.
Yeah, and that's what I want. I never want this series to sort of lose its place and lose what it is, and I don't think it's going to. That's why like people like tend to like have a preconception when it comes to the word dark, when that word doesn't mean one thing. It's kind of an overused word, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And so like
depends on
it depends, because the way one game is dark is not and this is why I don't like using the word dark to begin with. I think it's a very non-descriptive word, and it just doesn't tell you enough about like what the game is or what a movie is, because like the way one story is dark is not the way another is. It's not to the same degree, and so on. So I'm that's why I'm saying it's gonna be Dragon Quest V. That's what it's gonna be.
There's a lot of ways to interpret dark. So yeah, I'm not sure what I want. I kind of want Dragon Quest V sort of stuff, but I also wouldn't mind what kind of angle they're going for with the whole dark and adult theme. Like in my head, I'm either thinking what you're thinking, Shadow Hearts, some gloomy kind of game, or just like so totally abstract and completely defying our expectations for what kind of dark theme they're going for.
And people forget the end of Dragon Quest XI, Act 1, and the beginning of Act 2. That was some heavy stuff.
It was. I mean, all the Dragon Quest games have heavy stuff. Like, for me, the heaviest games were like Dragon Quest VI, Dragon Quest VII. Like, when you start really reading into the dialogue and stuff, a lot of that stuff is pretty damn disturbing.
Yeah, seven has a lot of like really like disturbing stuff. Like even the first story is like, yeah, they took all of the women, and like we have to destroy our own houses, and it's like permanently night. And I'm like, yeah, this is. Huh?
Was another thing you guys were talking about that I picked up on earlier that I wanted. Well, my mic was messing up back then. You're talking about like how Dragon Quest has an appeal for kids at the moment. Like kids can play Dragon Quest at the moment. So with Dragon Quest 12, they're obviously going for an adult theme, and that's kind of like sad for me in a way. That's the only thing I really feel bad about in terms of them going for an adult theme, because I picked up Dragon Quest 9 because it really appealed to me when I was a kid. Like the cartoony, easy to play turn-based combat. It felt like a completely like different game to like Pokemon, and it was so easy to transition from Pokemon turn-based combat to Dragon Quest 9. And seeing that Dragon Quest 12 is changing its angle to go for a more adult kind of theme, I feel like that could be a bad thing.
That's why I'm playing wait and see, because Hori's games have always been for all ages. I'm just wondering if this is a big marketing angle on some level.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain if it was like a mature game though, as from my personal experience.
But both can. A lot of people don't realize. People seem to have forgotten this. Both can be done. The two are not mutually exclusive. And I think that's been forgotten in the modern age. If you look at a lot of the stuff that, I don't know how old you guys are, but a lot of the stuff I grew up with, they were able to blend a lot of those together. Like Batman the animated series, the X-Men TV series. They didn't hold our hand. You know, they didn't belittle us, which I think a lot of modern kids shows do.
Yeah.
And like,
I agree.
I'm thinking of this really. I'm not going to say who the YouTuber is, but in his, basically, like a lot of people, I'm one of those people who think the Star Wars sequel trilogy is absolutely awful, and his defense for it, his defense for it was, these are movies about space wizards for kids, and I hate that sentiment because it assumes that kid stuff has to be stupid, and I completely disagree.
Imagine applying that to Dragon Quest. The thought just disgusts me. Oh, that'd be horrible. Imagine this, like, well, actually, a lot of people do think of that when they see Dragon Quest, unfortunately, which normally means they haven't played Dragon Quest, but... Yeah,
unfortunately, people have a lot of, like, preconceptions.
Yeah, same with Final Fantasy, though. Like, a lot of people just see it as, well, Final Fantasy is basically the face of JRPGs in the West. So when a lot of people who don't play JRPGs see Final Fantasy, they're just like, it's a boring Japanese game. Who cares? That sort of thing. Like, dismiss it. But with Dragon Quest, it's more like, it looks like Dragon Ball. Who cares?
Yeah, it's kind of, that's unfortunate. It's kind of like how, what's it called? When, people often think, this is a weird meme, but people thought Yakuza was like GTA from Japan when it's like completely different.
Oh no.
Yeah, and you always have to like correct them. It's like, no, they're not the same.
It's
Give it a try. Sackchief, are you alive there?
I think he went to get food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He said he's going to get food in the chat. He should be back soon. He's been gone for about 10 minutes now. Anyway, what other games are there coming up? Yeah, we have E3 around the corner. There's Bethesda Studios are announcing some things as well. They have their own separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of that, it was really interesting to sort of compare like Dragon Quest XII to the Elder Scrolls 6. Like, because they basically had a similar sort of like teaser trailer, you know, when they were going across the terrain, and then they showed the logo.
But the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer told me nothing. It was just like, here is land we made in 3D.
They probably didn't even make it.
They didn't. I think that was because I remember Bethesda was in hot water during that time, and that's kind of why they announced that.
I think it's a mistake for them to do that, to be honest.
What are we talking about? What's going on?
I was comparing Dragon Quest XII's intro teaser trailer to the Elder Scrolls 6, like comparing them side by side, sort of.
Oh, I agree, because it's kind of the same thing. They just kind of showed us nothing and just kind of said, all right, guys, see you next time. I hope it's not like the Elder Scrolls 6 where they don't talk about anything for 2 years, because that's what's going on.
Oh my god.
What's going on over there?
Speaking of that, they better announce something next week, in 2 weeks.
I agree. I'm going to be pissed if Bethesda shows up at E3 and does not show the Elder Scrolls 6. I'm going to be mad.
They definitely have the funding now.
Yeah, with Microsoft buying. Imagine if they had to restart the whole thing to like because of the funding or something like that.
Or like Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be horrible.
People are bringing up darker character designs for Dragon Quest. I just want to say something. Look at the designs for Dragon Quest V and compare them to the rest of the series. You'll notice there's a lot more shading on them. The characters look a bit darker. In fact, the main character's skin color is darker. A lot of that was done on purpose. So I'm just going to say that if they go for like slightly darker character designs, it would not be the first time Toriyama went in that direction.
And even the monsters as well. The monsters made for Dragon Quest V were quite, disgusting in design. Like, especially a particular monster who is at the end of the game. I thought that was a very disturbing design.
Yes.
Especially compared to everything that came before.
Which one? Mm-hmm. The final boss is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a great design though. It's a really disgusting looking final boss.
That's what we want the final boss to be like. It's like cartoony, but also like it like blends the two contrasting themes together perfectly, which is also something that I would like to see Dragon Quest XII do with its entire theme if it goes that route, blending those two different worlds together.
I agree. Something creepy or scary. 11 had some scary moments, and because I don't want to spoil them, because not everybody's played 11. Yeah. You guys should play 11. But yeah, there's some creepy. There's some really creepy monsters. I really hate the ulcer from 7. That's like the creepiest monster I think Toriyama's ever designed.
What about that eye monster? Is it called an eyelash or something?
The Winky or the
thing that appears in Die as well. The thing they use as like CCTV.
That thing's gross. Yeah, those kind of
Dude,
monsters.
when they like showed up in Die as surveillance cameras, I was like, whoa, that's kind of creepy.
That's really creepy.
I never thought they'd be used that way.
Well. Especially when they get killed and stuff as well. They're like in one of the recent episodes, some of them like explode and stuff, and it's
and like goo goes everywhere. Ugh.
Yeah, pretty interesting. There are a lot of really.
Are talking about a female protagonist for 12. I think that we're definitely gonna get a creative character this time. It's been too long since we've had it. I do think we'll be able to pick everything, gender, clothes, everything. I think it's time we went back to that. It's been a long time since we've had it.
Not to mention, the game is called the choice thing. That's like the gimmick of the new game. You can't have a choice gimmick thing if you can't choose the way your character looks. So I think, I think you're definitely gonna be able to choose the way your character looks and make them. And I'm hoping that there's like a robust character creator like Skyrim level, except for with a Toriyama character design. Like not
really cool.
Not just 8 faces and 8 hairstyles. Like more than that. I want like change the eye shape, change the nose height, the face height, the width, all sorts of stuff. That's what I want.
I agree.
Depends where they put their budget though. Like maybe they can't go too in detail with it because they've got like other things planned or something. And that's like balance the budget. But that being said, I do think Dragon Quest XII is going to get a much bigger budget than any other Dragon Quest game in the series so far. It definitely looks like it from the trailer.
It does.
Well, the 5 seconds we saw of the logo.
That trailer was unlike anything we've seen before. Alright, somebody's asking what console we think it's going to be on.
Well, there's a reason they blew the whistle.
Yeah,
they blew the whistle when they were asking.
Though, to be fair, when they talked about Infinite Strash at first, they also did the whole, we're not telling you what platform it's for at first. And at this point, we're kind of sure it's for PS4.
Yeah, it's obviously
I think it's 2 reasons why they did that. One, because they don't want to go that route and confirm it to as an exclusive or something. 2, I think this is a wild thought and it completely depends on the specifications, but I think it might be to do with the Switch Pro. And they'd have to bleep it out because they don't want to leak the fact that it's happening. Otherwise, Nintendo would be mad.
That's possible.
And it's funny because Hori is the one who leaked the Switch, isn't he? He's literally the guy who leaked the Switch.
He did. Well,
people in the chat,
Nintendo are basically best friends of Yuji Horii.
Yeah, they are best friends. So everyone in the industry reveres him, and he can do whatever he wants. He literally leaked the Switch's existence to the public, and that's how we found out. We found out a year before the Switch even got revealed that the Switch was a real thing, because Hori said, "Oh yeah, by the way, Nintendo's making a new console, and Dragon Quest XI is already being developed for it." And everyone's like, "What?"
Right.
Yeah.
But the reason why it could be PS5 is because Dragon Quest is a literal, this isn't metaphorical, it's a literal system seller. The thing that put 100%. The PS4 over in Japan was Dragon Quest Heroes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sold systems.
It did. And because, Bethesda's now with Xbox, they're going to have something to respond to that, and Final Fantasy's not enough. They're going to need both Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy on the PS5.
You know what, though? Microsoft has gotten back into the JRPG market.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And so I think that they're gonna want this. They pushed Yakuza for the series whatever really hard, and I was surprised by that.
There's only one Yakuza game on PS now, and there's like all the remakes of Yakuza and the original versions on Game Pass.
Well, yeah.
And wasn't Yakuza 7 an Xbox exclusive for a few months as well?
Yakuza 7 was... I don't know if it was Xbox exclusive.
No,
it came
I
out,
don't think so.
It came out day one.
It was not exclusive. Yeah, it wasn't an exclusive.
Fair enough. I saw something about that though. I saw it was like really heavily promoted on Xbox.
It
at
was,
least.
yeah.
So they have that game coming out next month. I can't remember if it's Crimson something or Scarlet something, but it looks interesting.
Lost Judgment.
No, not Lost Judgment. I'm talking about another JRPG.
Scarlet.
It's an action.
Scarlet Nexus.
Yeah. That's it. PlayStation as well, though.
Is it? I thought it was an Xbox only game.
No, PlayStation as well. I thought it was as well, but yeah, it's PlayStation. I think so. I'll double check.
You know why I thought that? Because it debuted at a Microsoft conference. That's why.
Yeah, you can get it now for PlayStation 4 and 5.
Another thing, I think 12 is going to be on. Now, I said this during my video, my predictions video. A lot of stuff in that video, by the way, came true, including the simultaneous worldwide release, which I predicted. I kind of freaked out during that part. I predicted that this game will be coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X, because here's the thing: Square Enix put 11 and Builders 2 on the Xbox One. I think there's more to that decision than people realize. I think that this is... Okay, Yuji Horii showed up at the Xbox conference last year. Remember that?
He did. I don't remember that.
Yeah, he did. They basically invited him on and gave him his own, like,
he was there. I wasn't even watching that. I wasn't even bothering to watch it. I thought, it's an Xbox conference. That doesn't appeal to me. And everyone's like, oh, Yuji Horii showed up. I'm like, what? He's there, and he was there, yeah, and he was like, and he announced Dragon Quest for Xbox. So, I think the future of Dragon Quest and Xbox is very strong and very. I think Microsoft's got the pocket. They're paying for that Dragon Quest goods to show up. That's what I think is going on.
Yeah, I think at this point it's either gonna be on all platforms or it's gonna be an exclusive. But like a timed exclusive. I think it's going to be like depends on how much they pay Square Enix. Like wherever the most money is either going to be an Xbox exclusive, maybe a Switch Pro exclusive for a few months if that happens. But I think the most likely exclusive, if it does happen, will be PS5. But I do think we will most likely get it on all platforms, including PC.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think PC is just one of those markets that Japan really has not been able to ignore anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm gonna give a lot of props to Sega. Sega has done a lot of work in trying to get like all of their games on the PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, Persona 4, especially that did really well on Steam. Anyway, what do you guys think of Dragon Quest Treasures?
All right, so what I think about Dragon Quest Treasures is. I know a lot of people are excited for it. I thought it looked nice, but I get a lot of this is a kids game kind of vibes from it. Like, this is not like a very deep kind of RPG. That's the kind of vibe I get from it, yeah.
I want to know what the gameplay is going to be like. That's what I want to know. It's like, it's a treasure hunting game, which is great, but like, what do you do? Is there combat? What are you upgrading? So like, that's what I want to know before like I make any huge judgments.
No, I rewatched the trailer a few times and I did notice a bunch of things. Now, this is not a monsters game, but there are monsters you can recruit, and it looks like you play as either Eric or Mia, and you have two monsters following you around at any given time. And the monsters actually like turn into things that you can use, like the slime turns into like a trampoline, and you can grab the dragon and float around with him like a Breath of the Wild paraglider. So that seems like the gimmick of the traversal in the game. It looks graphically, the environments look a little rough. It wasn't that impressive.
Yeah.
I think they can work
Probably
on that
gonna
a
be a
little more.
Switch game.
I think it's gonna be a Switch game or something small on a smaller level. I wouldn't be surprised if that was Switch exclusive because it doesn't look that intensive.
And the thing is, they called it a RPG, but some people like to play fast and loose with them, because I'm wondering if it's an RPG, what is being upgraded?
Yeah.
Like, are there any
weapons as well,
experience
didn't they?
points? Or is this in actuality just an adventure game? Not an RPG at all,
Yeah.
despite what they said?
They did show weapons in the game as well, didn't they? Like daggers and stuff. Like they're holding them. But maybe it's just treasure they received. It's really a really interesting concept. They definitely need to tell us a little bit more.
I agree.
Yeah. What about that new mobile game? I don't think anyone's massively interested in
Geshi
it.
Geshi.
But, yeah.
It'll be nice when I'm standing in line shopping.
I agree. That's what I was gonna say, because I'm probably gonna make another video soon talking about my thoughts on everything. I was somewhat interested in that. I would probably play that when I'm bored or have nothing better to do, but it's definitely not my kind of thing.
Yeah. It's surprising they're going to give it a worldwide release, to be honest. It doesn't seem like the type of game that they would put out to the whole world and not announce Dragon Quest X offline. Like, it seemed a bit weird that they basically left us hanging with offline but gave us that random mobile game.
Yeah, which I expected them. I expected them to announce something like that, to be honest, because they just do that all the time.
Yeah. Speaking of offline, we did touch on it before, but I just thought of something like, how do you think they're going to handle like upcoming versions of Dragon Quest X? Because like it's coming next year, and I suspect that Dragon Quest X Online will still receive expansions. How do you think they'll handle it? Do you think it'd be DLC?
I think it'll probably be over by then.
Really?
Here's the thing: we don't live in Japan, so we're not kind of like in the same. We can't read the atmosphere, right, on how much life this game has left, or how much people still want to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the game itself will probably be like Final Fantasy XI. It'll go on for another 10 years. It's just a matter of how much more content will be made for it. And it's kind of hard to tell. I do get the sense that it's beginning its twilight, but I'm like, how long is it going to take until like Square says, all right, we are done supporting this? So it really depends.
I think you'd be really surprised about how popular Dragon Quest X is, because I mean, there's basically an entire Japanese Dragon Quest X community, and it's going strong. The Japanese side is anyway. Like, there's like there's like thousands of people playing it every day. Basically, it's a massive.
Yeah,
game.
I know it has a fan base. I also know that it's not in the top 20 anymore of most played MMOs.
Is that worldwide or just in Japan?
Just in Japan.
Really?
That's interesting. I didn't know they had a list.
I would expect it to be more like higher up than that.
Well, I mean, listen, this is the land of hikikimoris we're talking about. It's still possible for something to not be in the top 20 and still be played by like tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite hard to calculate that as well, especially when it's so hard to like define those numbers.
Yeah.
But it does make a lot of money still. I mean, it's like 3,000 yen or something for like 30 days, I think. In fact, on PlayStation, you're forced to buy the most expensive tier for some reason.
That sucks.
So you have to pay like, I think it's like $20 a month. You have to pay it. You can't like go for any other tier. Because there's like 2-tier systems. There's like how many days you want to get out of your subscription, like 30, 60, or 90, and how many characters you want available on one account. So if you pay for like 5 characters, you're going to pay a lot more than say 3 characters. So yeah, and obviously PlayStation's super popular in Japan. Like, it completely dwarfs everything besides the Switch. So you can imagine how much money they're making out of that.
Yeah.
Probably a lot. But yeah, as for version 6 being the last Dragon Quest X expansion, I'm not sure. I think it depends. Like, will they end? They did say they're closing the chapter, but I'm not entirely sure what that means. And
yeah, see, like I said, it's hard to read the air from over here in the West.
yeah, I think we should definitely try though, because it's still Dragon Quest, and it depends. And if we're going to get the offline version, I think this will matter, because like we might end up having to pay for DLC as well.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, like if they did like further expansions, if they did a version 7, and then like that became DLC for the
Yeah, imagine how costly that would be and how much hard work it would be. Like, yeah, that's why I think they might end it next year.
The chibi does make it easier, and like I said on Wednesday, I believe they went with the chibi art style because it's easier to do. Because like they did, and because it allows it to be on as many platforms as possible, because that's what they did with Final Fantasy 15. They created the Pocket Edition because it could be like, it's easier to make and it can be on as many platforms as possible.
Maybe that's what they're going to go for with 10 then. I mean, it probably can run on anything, to be honest, looking at it. I'm very excited to play it. I do play a bit of 10 online. I've been playing by myself with some of my friends. It's a very good game. I don't think offline can be anywhere close to as good as online. Not because it's an MMO. I'm not actually a fan of the whole MMO thing. I just really like the character models and having like the full experience. And I really wonder how they're gonna like replicate that with the small models and stuff. Like, there's a lot of heavy action scenes in 10, and it's gonna be and the battle systems too. That's gonna be really interesting to see, and maybe the character customization. There's so much they're gonna need to tell us about, but obviously they don't expect us Westerners to know anything about 10 online, so it'll be technically a surprise for us if we ever get it. That is, which at the moment is up in the air, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, go on.
Someone in the chat is asking Dragon Quest Monsters Joker 4. I think they're going to take Monsters in a different direction.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, because the Me and Eric game, that was supposed to be a Dragon Quest Monsters game, and that kind of would have harkened back to the older ones. So, but since the Me and Eric game is no longer Monsters, I'm wondering what direction they're going to take this. Like, are they still going to go with sort of the classic style? I don't think they're going to do Joker anymore. I think that Joker 3 had the lowest sales of the series. So yeah, we'll see where they take it forward. I would like a new gimmick, something that's not like the original series and not like Joker.
Yeah.
For them to like try something that's unique to itself.
All right, so we're joined by the Luchador. He's a very prolific Dragon Quest collector in the United States. Introduce yourself.
Oh my god.
Yo.
You're live.
I had the video open as well as like this, so I just kept hearing a bunch of talking, and I'm like, what's going on?
Hi.
Hi! What do I have an opinion on right now?
What are we talking about right now?
We were talking about Dragon Quest Monsters.
Yeah, about the upcoming one. What direction they're going to take.
Did they announce a Monsters?
No,
Well,
they said they're
they teased
working
it.
on one, and Eric and Mia originally was going to be one.
Oh, I thought they said that the Treasures game was made by the people that made Monsters.
Yeah, but maybe they might make a different studio do it this time.
Or it could be like they've split the studio a bit, and maybe you have like one part of some of them are like conceptualizing the Monsters game, and it's in pre-production, whereas like the Treasures game is in production right now.
Well, there's always something in production, right? It's like me complaining that the only real disappointing thing about that the Direct was the lack of a Heroes 3. But, I mean, it seems like an obvious thing that they would be making. It's probably just not on the docket yet for, like, announcing. So I imagine they're working on a Monsters game. There's always a Monsters
again,
game.
that Eric and Mia game was supposed to be a Monsters title,
But they scrapped
and
it,
we still don't. We still don't know what happened there. And maybe they took all of the Monsters content from that game and like switched it over to like another division, or like gave it to a group of people and saying, "All right, recontextualize this."
I don't know.
With different main characters.
Maybe they lied.
I wouldn't say that this isn't something they haven't effectively done before. We just didn't know about it. I mean, what are the chances that the Yangus game was originally intended to be a Yangus game? And I'm guessing that in the same vein here, that they weren't sure how popular that specific title was going to be, and or if there were going to be any standout characters or whatever. And then the same thing happened. They probably just built another Tornico's dungeon, and then were like, "Yo, people love Yangus, just throw him in there." You know, I could see the same thing happening with this.
Well, I mean,
like Eric.
Well, Tornicos has always been popular, and so like that could have been a Tornico game rather than a Yangus game. It just maybe I don't know. Who knows? I'd have to read up in the background of how that game was made. But yeah, maybe it would have happened before. I'm just wondering because originally I wanted Eric and me to be in a mystery dungeon game because I thought that would have been perfect. But I definitely could see why they were chosen for Monsters originally, because that's what they did with Mila. Is that her name? She has a different name in like the original Japanese, but in the Terry and
Millie.
Millie? Yeah, like in the original. So I'm like, okay, they're going for the brother-sister thing again. That makes sense, I guess. And then for some reason they separated them them from this Monsters title for whatever reason.
Why is Torneco so popular? What do you guys think? What makes Torneco such a popular
Question.
character?
Tornico's,
I don't know why.
Tornico's popular. It's ephemeral. It's a mystery. It's like deep down in our hearts, we all want to be Tornico. We
You're
just
talking
want to
about the
be
games or the character?
The character,
The
I
character.
think. Yeah, the character.
Oh, well, if you're talking about the
It's-
character, that's
We want
a
the
little
rich.
different, I
Yeah.
guess.
It's weird that he's so popular. I don't understand it myself.
I love Tornico. I'm
You
a
know
Tornico
why?
fan.
You know why? It's probably because, and look, as somebody who admittedly doesn't think 4 is the greatest game in the world, and I get a lot of hell for it, but it was probably the most memorable portion of that game because it was so different. That you just sat
Definitely.
there and you were a shopkeep, and I think the character himself probably is just more relatable because he's just a dumb schlub, just like Yangus, right? He's just a
Well,
dumb
he's
schlub.
not dumb. He's not dumb. He's
Oh,
a
you know what I mean.
merchant.
Yeah, but
I remember that bit
he's
'cause
not
the
like some
money-
grand hero.
He's like an everyman. He's like a normal person.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
I only remember that
He's like,
segment.
well,
Go on.
he's like a normal like fat dude who like gets successful, has a hot wife and a kid. I mean, like this is a guy who's like got it all, and I think like deep down we all know that we relate more to Tornico than like any of the other like super buff characters like Terry.
Yeah.
And so like deep down we all want what Tornico has. That's what it
What
is.
about like Yangus, like the bottom of society, like Yangus?
Well, the thing with Yangus is that he is kind of a loser, but he's a lovable loser, and I
Yeah.
think that's why we like him.
It's like
Hey,
that
I'm
the
waiting
whole
for
game.
Rab's mystery dungeon.
Same.
Oh,
that
God.
would be a good
I
idea.
really like.
You don't collect treasure, you collect like little porno mags.
Yeah.
Oh
What you
no,
should do
stop
is-
it! I don't think Rab quite has like the popularity these other fat guys have.
Yeah.
I think what they should do is they should retell the story between when everything in Dungeonsville happens and when those two end up in Dragon Quest XI. They should like have like Jade and Rab in a mystery dungeon game. That'd be really cool. And, like fill the gap.
That'd be
Wouldn't be
interesting.
too bad. I just thought Eric and Mia were like the perfect choices for a mystery dungeon, precisely because hunting treasure was what they've done.
Well, now we got treasures.
Well, I'm
yeah,
not
of
really
course.
shocked that they got their own game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Out of the stories that were in that game, I would say that Eric, just in general, had the least
Interesting.
defined background.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else had some kind of easy to understand background. Oh, Rab was a king, I can't think of anybody, but everybody had a defined background, and his was kind of the one that was shrouded in mystery, other than he's a thief, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
anyway, it's getting late for me, guys. So you enjoy your Dragon Quest discussions.
Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Yes, have a good night.
Good night.
All right, and we're actually joined by Blackenfist, finally. How are you doing?
Sorry about that. I was I was actually asleep. I had a very weird sleep schedule this past 2 days.
It's cool. I had a weird sleep
That's
schedule.
okay. I know what that's like.
I had a weird sleep schedule also. I had to go to work in the morning after the Dragon Quest 12 reveal, and I got 1 hour of sleep because I was busy editing the video reaction to upload the next day. So I got 1 hour of sleep, and I drove to work a whole hour, and it was a terrible day. So, yeah.
Well, I heard you talking about Yangus as I was coming in, and he was, well, not only was he my favorite character in Dragon Quest VIII, he's one of my favorite characters in the entire series. I never really viewed him as like a lovable loser. To me, what really drew me to Yangus is the fact that he, was a seedy character and didn't have like maybe maybe did some, questionable things in his past. But what I really like is how loyal and his devotion is to the hero, and he has really formed a strong bond with him, and I really love those characters a lot. Or that character type, the character that's like loyal to or his king or lord or just a friend. And his sense of loyalty was definitely admirable. Yes, and that's primarily what drew me to Yangus. That's really what I like about. That's actually kind of what I like about the hero in A2. One thing that I really liked about Dragon Quest VIII in general was the fact that the hero, at least through most of the game, I know it changes throughout the end, but I really like the idea of just he was a knight who was serving his king, just a loyal knight. I really like that idea. And I always like the gameplay implications of the character. Like, for instance, he has a move where he sacrifices himself for the whole, his whole party, and stuff like that. I guess I'm a sucker for that, and I guess it really does fit with his character. So, and I always look to that. I always look to those kind of things when like you can tell what kind of character somebody is through the gameplay. So yeah.
Whose dog is that?
Yeah, me too. I do like that stuff. Did you like Eric's kind of sort of bromance with the main character of 11?
No.
I thought it was okay. It certainly wasn't. It certainly wasn't any like. I think the reason why I liked the relationship between the hero and Yangus in 8 much more than Eric and 11 is because Eric, although he's a good character, and I didn't I didn't hate him. I didn't really hate any of the characters in 11. But I think the reason is because Yangus, at least, he has a turn, he has a change of heart. And with Eric, he always seemed to, he was like nice to the hero right out of the gate. And yeah, he had his reasons, but because of that, I just never thought it was the same, right? I don't know. I think that I'm trying to think of like maybe that's the reason why.
I agree.
I think not to say that it was bad or anything. It's just that to me it meant a lot more with Yangus because who he was and what kind of guy he is and what and how it juxtaposes to how he acts with the hero. So,
and I do like they delay telling you why Yangus is loyal. They kind of keep it a secret and they kind of reveal it at the right time.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say Eric kind of is, he's a thief. He was a part of pirate. He was like part of a crew, I guess. But it also kind of felt like Eric didn't have as much agency, or maybe I'm a bit wrong on this, but it just felt the way it was portrayed and conveyed to the player that it felt like it just felt like Eric was just a much, I don't know, just put it into simple terms, it just felt like Eric was just a much more genuinely good guy. I don't know how, I don't know, I don't know how, I guess that's how the way to put it. And Yangus, on the other hand, didn't, So when he was acting the way he was acting, it meant more, at least to me,
Mm-hmm.
So
I didn't buy Eric as being like anything other than just like some generic dude. Like it's not like Yangus. I mean, he's got scars and he's wearing kind of garbage clothes. Like I would imagine that's the kind of person that you think is a thief. And Eric seems more like he stepped out of a monastery.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, I'm not hating on Eric or anything.
No. I can certainly see why people like Yangus.
Mm-hmm. No. Well, I mean, if you're comparing Eric to Yangus, I mean, to me, there's no competition. Yangus takes the cake easily. So, but yeah, in general, I thought the characters from 11 were pretty strong. I would probably say that maybe my favorite characters maybe was like, it probably wouldn't be Eric though. It'd probably be between like Rab, or Veronica, probably between those two. I really liked Hendrik as well, but it was really between those two.
Yay. He was like the Yangus there for the story. Like he had the big turnaround. Like I hated that dude, and then like I was like, oh, I love this dude.
I agree. I thought that was
like,
a nice turnaround. Yeah.
Why would you hate Rab?
No, not Rab.
Hendrik.
Oh, Hendrik.
Him and his buddy, the other guy that you end up taking on the blonde.
No. You see,
they did a good job of making him hateful, and then like when you get him, you're like, oh.
I never really thought he was. I mean, I guess you could say he was a bit hateful, but the way I saw it was, and the reason why I like Hendrik is because it's the same thing that I said about what I just said about Yangus and to a degree about the Hero of 8. I really like characters that are loyal, I mean, Hendrik thought he was doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah,
he was serving, and I never hated him when he was like an enemy. And I thought, hey, you know what? I like that guy. He's just a loyal guy. He's a knight. He's serving his king. So I thought when, of course, he joins your party, I thought it was even. I mean, he showed that same loyalty to the hero.
I guess I saw it a little differently.
That's why I actually did. That's why he is one of my favorite characters from that game, because it kind of fits with that kind of character that I like in the first place.
The way I saw him pre-joining the party was, I thought he was in on it, like with the dude that was setting it all up, aka the king.
Really? Hendrik from the beginning kind of came off as the genuine type to me.
Yeah.
Like you could even say it was almost too predictable which one of them was going to go evil and which one of them was going to join you. Mm-hmm. It was a tad predictable.
I agree.
Maybe I'm just oblivious.
If there's a criticism, is that I thought it was fairly obvious that Hendrik is a very earnest and genuine guy, and he's just doing what he thinks is right. Pretty much from the beginning. I never thought that.
Then, because I didn't.
I never thought that Hendrik was like an evil character. I never even when he's your enemy, I never thought he was an evil character. I thought he's just a guy who thinks he's doing what is right. So, yeah, I never saw him that way.
I guess I'm just stupid.
To be fair, I was very surprised when I saw that he turned over a new leaf. I didn't really expect that my first playthrough, so it was surprising to me also. I think it was meant to be a little bit surprising because some people don't see it coming.
Yeah, that game was kind of all over the place. I mean, and I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way overall. I mean, while it is still kind of one of my least favorite of the series, it bounced around a lot, especially with characters. Like, I mean, me, I don't know, can't speak for anybody else, but who'd have thought Sylvando would have had like the best like overall story arc? I thought he was just going to be your standard like garbage goofball, like just like nothing but like comic relief, until he actually has his little story arc with his dad and stuff. And I was like, oh wow, he's actually probably got the best story in the whole game, even though like he's one of my least liked characters.
Are there any interesting comments? Any questions or anything? Because my phone died, so I can't read the comments right now.
You can't read them on your computer?
I can, but they're delayed by a little bit. You guys will probably be able to see.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, someone says if you read a book, you can learn about Hendrik and Jasper. Yeah, I do remember that within Heliodor. That you could do that.
I remember also that was a quest. There was some fanboy of them who wanted you to read a book for them. That was an interesting way. If you what?
I was just, if you guys don't mind, could you what did you? I know I missed all.
What are we talking about? Okay, we talked about. We started off by talking about like the 3 remake, and then we talked about 12 and stuff. I was thinking I want to have this talk tonight so that we can continue our discussion from Wednesday, because you guys are going on and on about your theories for 12, and I was like gonna pass out from sleep exhaustion.
Did you talk? Do we still know what platform 3 is gonna come out on?
We don't. We just know it's coming out for consoles. That's all they said. They said it's coming out for home consoles. Is what they said.
Consoles.
Probably gonna be for. Yeah, it's probably going to be for everything. I would be surprised if there was any exclusivity.
No, yeah, I would be surprised too. I hope it does. I hope it comes out on everything, including the PC.
I agree.
Because like 1, 2, and 3 are for everything now, so I figure this will be for everything too.
I wouldn't put it past there being like a temporary exclusivity, because they've kind of done that with the Dragon Quest games in general. Like lately, you know, like they pick a console, because this is what they do with Dragon Quest. Seems to always be on whatever the most popular console is. They target whichever console has the biggest user base and the most potential for like mass sales
for mainline
and
games,
and then what they'll do is you know, it'll branch out. Like it ended up going to Xbox One and Switch later, even though the game was built for Switch initially, but you know, I understand there were some kind of delays in producing the way they wanted to produce it or whatever, but yeah, I mean, even 8, right? Like 8 was a PS2 exclusive and then ended up on 3DS, so it's not like they won't put it elsewhere. I mean, we're kind of in the days now where when you have a massive selling game like this, you want it everywhere.
Yeah, like exclusivity seems to be like mostly for if you own
party.
If first party stuff, which is why I think that's why Microsoft bought Bethesda. I think that was it. It's like, all right, we need something in our first party to use.
I mean, 11 was on PC, which is new.
I also think it would just be healthier for the series if it wasn't on just one platform. Obviously, Dragon Quest needs to be on everything, if possible. You know, so.
It needs to sell. This game needs to sell copies. I want everybody to experience Dragon Quest 3.
I think this is good. I think this is very good. I think me and Mr. Chief here had a conversation about this, where I think that this is the timing of this game is great. This game will probably do much better than 11 in outside of Japan, because they kind of ruined it when they did this back with 8, because next game wasn't for a while, and it was 9, and it I don't think 9 really was the way to go to capitalize on outside Japan, you know, to really grow the franchise. It didn't really do that, and then 10 came out, and that didn't even come out of Japan.
9 sold incredibly well. 9 sold a lot.
It sold over 1 million copies in the West.
I think 9 was a weird one though, because it was the first one that was in the main line that was just exclusive to a handheld.
Yeah, but I don't
remember that handheld was the most popular platform in the world.
I get that, but there were also consoles, and you would think that if anything, they would have like what they did with 11, which is have two versions of it or something.
Well, I guess maybe less so with 9, but more so with 10, because I know 10 definitely killed momentum completely. That killed it completely. I was gonna say that 9 killed momentum a little bit, even though it might have sold well. I don't think it did much for growing the entire series, outside of Japan. I guess that could be debatable on certain.
That's debatable, because here's the thing: there is an entire generation of RPG players who grew up on DQ9, and they will swear by DQ9 to this day.
Yeah,
I suppose, but the thing is, the people at least in the United States or in the West, they always talk about 8. They always talk about 8, how 8 was the first one, and many of those people never even played 9.
Well, 8 was like the big gateway, right? Like
as I said before, it could be debatable on how much 9 really served on growing the franchise. But definitely 10 killed momentum completely. So basically what I was trying to say is that when 11 came out, I think they were starting from scratch, almost from square one again. It was pretty much like the situation that Dragon Quest was in when they released 8. So the fact that they're releasing, what I want to say is, with the fact they're releasing 12, another major franchise, and it's going to be like, a standard, the next big title. Right now, that it's good timing. It will build on the momentum, and that's what Persona did. Which is each subsequent release got bigger and bigger than the last one, and I don't think Dragon Quest has really had that, because something has come up. It's something that came up and killed momentum.
I don't know if there was a lack of momentum. I think it's just there was it was different, right? We got a ton of remakes on the DS.
Nothing big though.
Not enough.
He means something
not
big,
enough.
like boom.
The
Persona comparison that you're making, I think that, I agree. I think
Persona 3 got remakes too, but if all they released was like some Persona 3 remake and then a 4 remake, it's not the franchise would not be as big as it is now.
I guess maybe I'm taking what you're saying the wrong way. I get what you're saying. I thought you meant just release schedule wise, because they had constant stuff filling the gaps. But yes, they didn't have any huge pushes, and we ran. I mean, look, this isn't really unheard of with Enix of America, whether or not it's Square Enix of America or Enix of America. They have habitually done this. Release a big, a batch of games, get everybody excited, and then disappear. And then, a bunch of Japan-only stuff, and everybody's like, what the heck? And I don't know if it's all sales-driven. I mean, I know that the DS games kind of tapered off as they kept going down the line.
What do you mean tapered off?
Like the sales,
in the West or East?
In the West.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I'm only talking about. Look, in Japan, they all sell like gangbusters. I mean, even Tornico,
Yeah,
but Tornico is incredibly popular.
But when it came to America, say that it did well.
Okay, Tornico is the worst selling game in the series in America. I can tell you that.
Oh, look, when I bought it day one, it came out. I still have my copy, mint. I put it in my PlayStation. I played 20 minutes of it, and I was like, "This is trash," and then I put it away.
I didn't like it.
I really like those. I really like them because they play like the original Rogue. Because that's what they are. They're kind of a skin of the original Rogue, but in modern day.
Yeah.
But made with modern day. Well, what was modern day graphics? But yeah, I really like them. It's really challenging.
I'm glad
it's tough to get to the bottom.
I'm glad somebody does. I mean, I hate to hate on Dragon Quest stuff or just anything in general. I mean. But I just thought it was complete trash, and I mean it's good that there's people out there that like it. It's just I feel 9. I'm not mad at anybody for liking 9. I mean personally, I thought it was a low point in the series, but enjoy it. Shoot,
not
11 all you want.
Complicated one.
Well, 9 and 11 both kind of had the same energy for me, where I didn't like them until post game. I didn't like 9. Most of the game, and then when it came down to go into the oh god, what are they called?
That's very interesting.
Troves or whatever they're called.
I view 9. I view 9 as definitely one of the weakest entries in the series. I definitely don't view 11 that way in almost every aspect. And maybe it's because I never really got to use the DS features because I played this game literally like years later. So maybe it would have been a little bit better. But like everything, even the music, I thought that 9 probably had the weakest soundtrack out of any game, any of the mainline Dragon Quest games. I was not very like I did like the Celestian thing, so I liked the world, but the story beyond that I thought was very lackluster. The main villain I thought was very like just a like a worse version of Sorrow. So it just didn't do it for me. Like 9 like 9 a lot of things for me on 9 like it probably is my new favorite Dragon Quest game.
My big problem with 9 was the huge shift in tone. I'm so used to. I grew up with Dragon Warrior forever, and I understand that it's different between, as far as dialogue between Japan and the West. But the Dragon Warrior I always knew was always relatively serious. I mean, not necessarily dark or anything. I mean, there were dark moments and stuff, but it was
a lot of serious moments,
game.
though.
And no. That's what I'm saying. It was always serious, and like there were things that were serious, and things were handled in a serious manner. 8, was slightly more lighthearted. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was goofy or anything, but it was the first time that it was, a more positive tone overall. But 9 for me, I think it wasn't the story. Like the story was fine. I just think that the way that it was handled dialogue-wise was so childish. It was such a deep and like adult storyline, like just the actual plot.
I disagree with that.
But the way that it was handled, the dialogue was just done so childishly, and like, I mean, it was a serious thing. I mean, it handled, like fall from grace from heaven and stuff like that. I mean, I know the West has always really had trouble with any type of religious stuff, and I'm surprised that 7 got away with as much as it did. Yeah. But I just felt like it was in line. It was clearly in line. 7, 8, and 9 were a trilogy. They were a very loose trilogy. There's shoestring connections, but I just felt like it was part of that trilogy. It was part of the heaven and hell based trilogy, and just the way that it was handled was just felt so childish.
You mean the way 9 was handled was childish?
Yes.
Really, I'd have to go over the dialogue again to see if you're right, because I don't remember the dialogue being that.
Translation was so
8.
bad. The translation was so bad.
Do you think the issue was the translation or the
original I don't
text?
know. I while I do have 9 in Japanese, I have never felt the need to play it because I do have it in English. So I can't speak for the tone of the Japanese one. To my knowledge, I haven't really played any of them unless they're exclusive to Japan. I haven't played any of them in Japanese, but to my understanding, there have always been a lot of like puns and lightheartedness, kind of in general with the Japanese games. I don't know how true that is. I haven't actually spoke to any Japanese people or anybody that have just sat down and played through the Japanese games. But it's to my understanding that there's a lot of like, food jokes and stuff like that in these games.
Yes, that is true.
Where in the US version, obviously the source of the tone of Dragon Warrior was, people want things like Conan the Barbarian in America. They don't want this silly garbage. And somebody looked at it and was like, well, we've got knights and it needs to be like Conan the Barbarian, And I get that that's why tonally the Western versions, assuming the Japanese versions are like what people say they are, why the Western version is just known to be more serious. And while, yes, people that came in starting at 8 and 9, it's just normal. Like, they don't expect anything else, and they may not have even played the old ones,
So how do you feel about the 4, 5, and 6 remakes? Because those were done by the same translation team.
Translation team, and I immediately wanted my brain to barf, fall on the floor, and die, because it ruined the tone for me completely. Like, I didn't even get past the beginning of 5 because I saw that it was the same team that did 4, and 9, and I just said I don't want to ruin 5 for myself because I did actually
5 previously.
I played 5. I want to say the year that it came out, or it was the next year that it came out. I ordered it from Japan. I paid way too much money to get it, and I played through it completely in Japanese. I actually learned my first bits of Japanese. I have a thing. I took a picture and put a picture up on Twitter a long time ago. But I literally sat down and wrote down the kanji and katakana and translated the stuff, like the items and the weapons and all that stuff, by looking at the old Dragon Warrior like weapons charts and item charts and all that stuff. And I was able to figure out what was what. And I have all the Japanese characters, and like, yes, maybe I was missing out on some of the dialogue, but I understood 100% of what was going on.
If you were able to read that Japanese, I mean, would you have I don't know, not liked it then? I don't like. Is that because
what do you mean? So, like I said, I don't know the dialogue, but I know the tone. You could like not even having to read it. If I don't know, go get an English translated ROM and go through it and tell me what you feel like with it tonally. But I didn't necessarily understand all the dialogue. I translated as much of it as I could on the fly, but I mean, I could tell what was going on, and I could tell tonally what was going on. I mean, I made my way all the way through the whole game in Japanese, so it wasn't that I was lost. It's just that, you know, I miss out on some of the finer points in the dialogue.
I'm not understanding exactly what you mean by tone. If it's not the translation,
it's the dialogue.
Is it the
dialogue
DS?
sets the tone.
The DS?
So when you have, I'm talking about the DS translations. When you have somebody speaking, "Oi, it's truth," and blah blah blah, like, it's just the way that they talk, and their dialects are just so garbage. And like the way that the dialogue is spoken is so goofy and childish. It's just, I sit there and I was just cringing every time I had to talk to somebody.
But wait, 9 didn't have the accents though.
It did.
It did?
It really did. It was so hard to read.
I'm assuming. So is it it's like the accent stuff?
All the accents, and well, I mean, the dialogue itself. I mean, it was all done so childish, and I don't know necessarily. Again, I don't know that this was the initial like they did a really good job of translating, and I just don't like the Japanese tones of the game, or you know what I mean? Like, it could just be that I'm so used to whoever translated them originally that
because the way like Dragon Warrior is, that's not really how the original games were written. Like, there was a lot of like inflection of a more Western fantasy novel style into the dialogue, whereas the translations for 4, 5, and 6, and it's been a while since I played 9, but the translations were, the tone was closer to the Japanese, but the accents were something that the Westerners added. I personally like them, but the tone overall,
I get what they're getting at, and like look, I feel like maybe it would have helped a little bit. I don't know how much. It would have helped at least, I think, a little bit to have had actual voice acting for that dialect, because, you know, even when Yangus spoke with dialect, like, they didn't put a bunch of weird accents, you know, like putting the ticks over the E's and the things over the O's and all that other stuff, right? So much as what they did in 9. It was just like there was so much dialect in the dialogue, and I also didn't care for the dialogue, but it was hard to read, and it was like everything was just kind of presented in such a goofy and childish manner. It was a huge shift in tone for me.
For you, I get it if it was for you, because to me, I didn't find it childish at all. I found it very charming. In actuality,
I always found the accents to be much more. It actually brings me more into the world, because if you really think about it, I mean, like, these people have their own unique dialogue. I didn't view that as necessarily childish or goofy. I thought it was actually, this makes sense. This makes the world more real to me.
What's you guys' histories then? Like, what's your starting point?
I got into the series in 8. Well, here's my history.
Okay, see,
I got into the series in 8, and then I immediately well, I didn't immediately, but after 8, I then went to go and play 1, 2, and 3, all of them in order.
But you have an intimacy with 8, though, right? I mean,
sure, but I never.
So I feel like maybe it's easier for you to digest that dialect stuff. Like,
no, well, here's the thing, though. Because I actually played like the original, like the way it was translated back in like the Dragon Warrior days. What you're saying to me about how all this stuff was goofy and childish and just cringeworthy, I never. I never to me this is new. Like I this is very interesting for me because to me this is new because outside of 8 I played these games in order. So you
didn't think 9 had like a tonal
for me
change?
that
You don't think that 9 had a tonal change?
No,
not
I
as
think
huge
9
as you're saying. I do kind of get where you're coming from, and sorry, I have heard that people have had problems specifically with the accents before. I can understand that criticism.
Yes,
that was not in the original game. I can fully understand why people don't like that, but that the tonal shift was as big for you. Well, for you, that's fine. I understand where you're coming from. That's that's part of your experience.
Like 20 years of Dragon Quest or
Whereas,
Dragon Warrior prior to.
I never felt that there was that big of a shift in tone because I always felt like the music set the tone a lot for me, and I found it even as I found it very consistent towards all the games.
Well, I mean, it's all Sugiyama's stuff, right? So
the one thing I struggle to understand is if you played the game in Japanese, and I'm trying to guess how much you even comprehended when you played that playthrough. Like I'm struggling to understand how you got the tone from the like text in the Japanese version, then going to like the English version, like.
Okay, so here's where I'm getting at it. Okay, so I guess it's hard to explain. You ever watch a foreign movie?
Sure.
I mean, have you ever considered watching a foreign movie with no subtitles?
I might have done that like a lot.
Would you be able to understand what's going on in a foreign movie without subtitles?
The very basic things.
Yeah. Okay, so I knew all of that was going on in 5. 5 has a lot going on. I mean, it's a long game. It's not a short game. There's a lot of things that occur. So maybe I don't understand when somebody says, "Oh, I need you to go save my brother" or whatever. I know to go. At this point, I've had a pretty long history with Dragon Warrior. Going into 5, it wasn't super difficult for me to find my way around and understand where I should be going and what I should be doing just logically. As far as the story goes, I mean, there's actions that occur, and I was really, and this isn't me just like making stuff up here, and like retroactively saying, "Oh, I love 5." The 5 was my favorite game, even not knowing all of the dialogue. It was my favorite game. It had the most definitive and memorable story. And mind you, I have never played 5 in English, and I've never played a translated ROM. I have never played the PS2 version where people have translated it. I have only played some portion of the DS one. I've never played 5 in English, and to this day, it is still my favorite game. And when I watched your story, I understood 100% of what was going on, what was going to happen. I knew what pieces that were missing, that they, obviously couldn't put everything in. Like, I knew what was going on. So, it's not that I didn't understand 5, and I understand that there might be a disconnect going, well, you didn't read any of the words, right? Like, but I knew what was going on. I knew the tone. The tone in the movie is pretty damn close to what I experienced with the game in Japanese. And when I booted up 5 on the DS, and I could immediately recognize that it was the same team that did 9 and 4 on the DS, that's why I said I shut it off.
This is why I asked you earlier that if you actually knew how to read Japanese, do you think that would have diminished your enjoyment of 5? Because I'm fully aware of how these things, how Dragon Warrior was localized, where the original Japanese text had a different, maybe, it was a bit more different. In the West, maybe you quote unquote made it more serious.
Yeah.
So that's why
Let me put it to you this way.
That's what really was confusing me, because I was thinking
I may be projecting my history of 1 through 4.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was kind of confused because I was thinking, if you knew that text, would have diminished your enjoyment? Were you projecting? It's wholly possible. I don't know that I'll ever find out, but if anything, my intent is to play the PS2 version of 5 with the Dragon Warrior text, because they translated it twice with both Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest stuff in mind. More than likely, I will play the Dragon Warrior version of it. But I would play through 5 on the DS if I could just block out all of the dialogue. Well, I never played Dragon Quest V on the DS, but I know I have obviously played 9 and I played 4 on the DS.
I don't discourage anybody from playing 5 in any form. If you're okay, especially if you're okay with 9 and the other DS remakes, tone and dialogue, whatever you want to call it, absolutely play 5. You must play 5.
I have my gripes with the way Dragon Quest has been translated as well, but I guess they're much more different than yours. It's more it's kind of to me it's I like certain things that they do. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I like Erdrick. I mean, it's almost like two versions, because there's the early translations and then there's the later translations. I find that I like most of the things the early translations did in the Dragon Warrior era, and
they knew what they were doing for the American crowd.
Yeah. Like some of the things, like maybe the only thing I really didn't like in the early translations was the religious symbols that were covered up,
changed.
Well, that was the only thing I didn't like, and unfortunately, Dragon Quest VII was the only one that didn't suffer.
7?
But I have a suspicion that the only reason that the Dragon Quest VII didn't do it is because that game wouldn't even make sense if they did it.
Yeah.
So
have you played Warrior?
To me, I think their hand was forced into actually not covering, just straight up saying God.
You know why 7 got away with it?
Because it was literally part of the story.
Because it was on PlayStation.
Yeah, they didn't have the Nintendo sensors.
That's also 100%. That also could be.
And I feel like that's what has affected the DS games.
That's actually quite unfortunate, because Japan, Yuji Horii has actually gone back to change certain things in the original releases for Western audiences. So one thing you'll notice is that the cross is no longer a cross anymore. It's like a trident.
I think they've adapted that in Japan though too. I think that they have.
No, that's exactly what I just said. They did that. Yuji Horii did that in the original verse, probably for the Western audiences. So, for instance, in this new Dragon Quest, every Dragon Quest III remake, for a while now, it doesn't really use the original art for that kind of stuff. It uses the new. I think it started with Dragon Quest VIII, which, no surprise, was the one that they really pushed hard in the West as well.
But can you understand why they do that though? These days, games are so big and so detailed. It's not just changing a couple of sprites. They'd have to change so much that it probably
they changed that in terms of the religious symbols, Yuji Horii. I don't know if it was probably Yuji Horii or whoever, Toriyama. Maybe Yuji Horii told Toriyama, we're going to change it. Because I remember there's some art book where there was some art shown by Toriyama. Yeah, there was some art made by Akira Toriyama for Dragon Quest VIII, and it actually had the priests with the cross, like the cross that you would see throughout the whole series. But in the final game, that's not the way they would.
Yeah,
they ended up.
that probably started with 8 because 8 was so popular. They were like, look, if
no, it started before it was released, and they did it probably because they knew they were going to release it in the West and they were going to push it in the West. So they we're just going to change this now. That's a little change I don't like because it makes a bit of an inconsistency. Like, and this is a nitpick. I completely think this is a complete nitpick. But one thing, like the 3 remake is going to probably be amazing. But one thing that it's just a little gripe I have is that it's not going to be like the original where like the churches are going to like the priest class is going to have that big like the original design, right? It's not going to be like that because
the original design.
They changed it.
With the big cross on the
big cross right,
on
like right across their body.
A big blue hat with a giant cross and a big.
It's not going to be that. Yeah. It's going to be that other trident thing.
Yeah, weird loopy thing.
Yeah. They're going to make that. Yeah. So anyway, that's my point. Is anyway, I like some of the most of the. I like a lot of things that the original Dragon Warrior did. Some things in the newer translations I don't like.
Yeah. Well, I think 12 is going to be a bigger shock for the people who started with 8 or after. For people like me, it's like it's harkening back. Like I'm just like, oh, they're going back to old Dragon Warrior. Like I don't think it's going to be.
I don't know. See, I don't know.
Here's the thing, though. I will say though that it does sound like you. I mean, I think you already realize this. Your concept of Dragon Quest tone is informed by those older games. Because I want to remind you that even from the beginning, this was a series where and someone mentioned this in the chat, and I think he had a great point, is that all of the spell names, both in Japan and America, are onomatopoeia.
But not in Dragon Warrior.
Not in Dragon Warrior. They changed it to like more like Western fantasy stuff. So
they just made stuff up, like hurt.
Yeah. So, like, if you look at like the spell names,
it's just as dumb.
It's onomatopoeia that the Japanese would understand, whereas in America for the remake
stuff, I'm used to that, but it is equally as dumb. It's just as stupid.
Here's the thing though. You use the word childish to describe, the way Dragon Quest originally does it, and the way that the DS games did. I don't think of that as childish. I think childish is kind of a demeaning term. I find it very endearing. I think it gives the Dragon Quest universe its own personality. I think it makes it into a fairy tale on level with Narnia.
I guess what I'm looking at is more like cartoon-like when I say childish. I don't mean like, it's for babies, but like it tonally, it's a big difference, right? It's a big difference between reading The Magic School Bus and reading Lord of the Rings, right?
No, I completely understand what you...
But I would not compare what the DS games translations did to the Magic School Bus.
I would.
I would not. I think that is very demeaning.
The most I can agree with you on is that when I chose to play Dragon Quest V, I intentionally chose not to play the DS version, and not because I would have hated the DS translation. I was perfectly fine with the way Dragon Quest IV was translated on DS, but I will say I do enjoy, like, just for record, I actually played like the PS2 version of Dragon Quest V, and if I was given the choice, I would have played a competent fan translation, just because it keeps aspects of the Japanese intact, mostly the religious symbols. So, like, they'll say God instead of goddess. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of stuff I do like.
That's so weird, though. Why is goddess okay, but God isn't? That's
because it's thing. To me, every time I see certain, like the accent thing, I know that's a localized thing. Now, sometimes, to me, most of the time, that's a hit.
Japanese ones have dialect too. I have spoken with somebody about that. They do have dialect.
Yeah, yes, but what he's trying to say is that, like, for example, the way they made a certain town French in Dragon Quest IV, that wasn't the way it was in the original.
Well, they've done a lot of weird changes, It's hard to say what's
I'll reiterate again. I don't hate all these changes. I don't hate all these changes. In fact, I like a lot of them. However, there is a certain, I guess you could say, I don't know, enjoyment or a certain, just a certain experience that you get when you are closer to the Japanese.
Well, look, I'm a grumpy old man, and I'm stuck in my ways. But I have warmed up to this. Slightly more jokey style, slightly more jokey, like monster names and stuff. It's I wouldn't say growing on me, but I've warmed up to it. It's less of an issue as it was when it first was a big thing. And look, it would benefit me probably to go back and play 9. It was such a large change, mind you. Even to this day, just in general, the series has rarely changed much, right? And the biggest step they probably took was in 7 with adding like the abilities trees and stuff, right? Like everything has always just kind of been on autopilot as far as the designs of the games and stuff. So to have such a big change for me with 9 may have just been a shock, and it may benefit me to go back and play it. Look, I don't hate the game. I mean, I like a lot of stuff. Like, I loved, I keep calling her Sandy because that's the Japanese name.
Stella.
I like her. I think I like the character. I like the whole thing with the train. I mean, I generally like the story. Just, generally, in overall, I just probably need to go back and play it. It's been, how many years since it came out? It's been a while.
10 years.
So, yeah, I mean, again, I've been meaning to play through 6 because I got 6 back when it came out, and I spent like $130 on the stupid game because that was like the retail price back then. And I only played like an hour of it, and I was like, I don't like this. Even though it was in Japanese and I didn't understand anything necessarily, I just didn't like it, and I could tell. But I've been meaning to. I started it and then I just never got anywhere. I've got a translation of it, and I've just been meaning to go through 6 because I probably, it was just different and unexpected. And, like 11, like I said, I warmed up to it later in the game, as I did 9. It's not a bad game. It's not bad gameplay. I just think again, this might very well just be me being stuck in my ways and being just an old cranky old man, and I'm just like, I want my Dragon Warriors to be Dragon Warrior, So I mean, I'm not saying anybody's wrong.
Here's
right?
one thing. Here's one thing I actually do. Here's another. Okay, I love a lot of things that the translation does, but here's another thing that I guess I'll agree with you on. I don't like this tendency of like how the Dragon Quest games are like every single title has to have an alliteration. Some of them are okay, but some of them I just think the Japanese title was like far superior. Like Dragon Quest III, Seeds of Salvation. It's okay. Is not, to me, Into Legend is, I like that much better.
I get what you're saying.
Feels a little incomplete for me.
Maybe it would have to maybe because it's in like a Japanese and they don't understand English. Maybe, but I like I like that title or the connotation of that title more than Seeds of Salvation.
You know why they do this in the American versions is because it describes the game to people, so they have an idea of what's going on. Because Americans and the West in general doesn't have that history. So like even 1 through 4 had no subtitles.
I think Into Legend explains what the game is too. Like for instance, the titles don't differ that much. Like for instance, with 5, it's Bride of Heaven versus Hand of the Heavenly Bride. Both of them. No, I'm not knocking. Like, okay, both of them. They're not bad. I don't think both of them are bad. But I think something about Bride of Heaven. I think it sounds better to me. Maybe I don't know.
To the point. Yeah,
it's more to the point.
It's not doing this dancing around religion thing.
I like the Hand of the Heavenly Bride. I think that there's a kind of poetry to putting it that way. I'm not saying it's better,
all right.
But I'm saying that I like it. I think.
Here's what I'll say.
I think it also personally reminds me of like the old Jack Kirby comics.
Yeah,
because he used a lot of alliteration as well.
I see it more as being like the Star Wars prequels, a little too on the nose.
What?
I think both of the titles have religious connotations because they're both talking about Bride from Heaven. But all I wanted to say is that some of the titles work, and in some of them, I think the Japanese were a bit better. That's it. That was my only point.
I can understand your point with 3 that it describes the game more. I'll agree with that. For Hand of the Heavenly Bride, I do like.
It's
I think
close.
there's a.
Well, I like both. I do like both, but I like Bride of Heaven more.
I could go without either one.
Yeah, well, it's just a title, right? I was bringing up just something that.
Yeah, that's probably the least concern I have about most of the things. What was 9's?
Sentinels of the what was it? Sentinels.
No,
of
Starry
the
Skies. Yeah.
Skies?
That's not a bad one. That's a pretty strong
I
subtitle.
like that one too. I really like that one as well.
Yeah, Sentinels. That's a big word.
You guys have been going on and on for like an hour with this.
Shut up.
Oh my god. By the way,
I'll go away and we'll stop all the arguing.
just to let you guys know, midnight Eastern Standard Times. That's my limit. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So, any other discussion things we want to talk about before the night's over?
For 12.
Yeah, I'll just say in the chat that Peace Giant is wrong, that it is subjective. But and moving on from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about fragments of a forgotten?
Hey, you don't talk no smack about
that title
7.
makes
I
sense.
will.
I like that title as well.
Well, okay, is it better than Warriors of Eden?
Warriors of
I
Eden.
think Warriors of Eden might be less appropriate.
Also,
Yeah, I would say Warriors of Eden is slightly less appropriate if we're like judging by the standard of what
Yes.
is more descriptive.
Yeah, well, suppose so. You're right. I mean, because fragments. I mean, people will understand that immediately once, or fairly quickly once they play the game. Warriors of Eden, they might not understand that until like they finish the game.
yeah, it's a very late game sort of spoiler that you won't understand. We should talk about.
I don't think the
12.
title is I don't think the title
talk
is a
about 12.
spoiler. It's more of a. I think it's more of just that you won't fully understand.
Yeah, but what do you think that? What just like Zach was saying, what do you think 12 means?
Oh yeah, the flames of the.
Well,
that's
we
a good
kind of
thing.
discussed that earlier.
We did discuss it earlier. I talked about how.
Oh, did you? I must have missed it.
That was back before you guys showed up. The Chosen Flame of Destiny is what the Japanese title is, and in America, the title is going to be called the Flames, the Flames of Fate.
So wait, is that subtitle just they put that on for us? Like
that subtitle was just for us. The Japanese translation was the Chosen Flame of Destiny. That's what's the Japanese version called.
Oh, that explains the little.
That almost
12.
gives it a little bit of a different connotation.
It does.
Well, it depends. I think Chosen Flames of Fate can be read multiple ways, and it's just like I want to ask Curry. So, how do you want us to read this? Like, what does that mean?
Well, if you look at the 12, I mean, the 12 is made out of fire, and that the American one could mean anything, right? You're just like, oh, it's the Flames of Fate. Like, that could mean anything.
Yeah. I feel like the Japanese one is. It seems more specific now because when I see the chosen, now you're just like something is chosen. You know,
it makes more.
No, 12. The 12th title could mean you're choosing something as well.
That's what I think.
Because it could be the Flames of Fate that you are choosing. It could go in either direction.
I guess that's true.
Like I said, Blackenfist, we were talking about this earlier. I think that Dragon Quest XII's biggest gimmick is that it's a game where you're choosing stuff and you're making choices that will affect the world. And we were talking about this on Wednesday before I cut you guys off. But what was your theory on the game? I just want to hear what what you think about 12. Your thoughts.
Oh, my thoughts on 12.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly don't have that many. I'm pretty sure, like Mr. Gentleman and you have much more elaborate theories. My theory immediately, as I think I said it on Wednesday, is that probably the class system will come back. People were talking about a lot about a morality system, like a lot that you see a lot in I
wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
Mass Effect.
Yeah, something like maybe in Mass Effect, and. The thing about that is that kind of game mechanic is so different Dragon Quest would have to change so much in the way it's written and its scenario. Like, it would be drastically different.
Well, you know what they're probably going to
Now,
utilize,
I'm not saying it
right?
can't happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying it would be the most differently written Dragon Quest game ever.
My guess
if
is
it
that
were
they're
to
going
happen.
to actually do the morality choices or like defining path choices through their yes and no system. They've had that yes and no system around forever, and rarely since the early games has it actually been anything other than just
wait.
a joke.
Do you think that maybe one of those choices is that you can finally say no?
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is rather than it just being like a silly thing where you can't say no or you have to say no or whatever it is where they force it on you. It used to be, I mean, starting with the first game, right? Like you made a choice at the end, and that choice was definitive.
I've
right?
said before that I couldn't see something like that in Dragon Quest because I don't know how it would fit in it, and I don't know how Yuji Horii would do it. But I didn't think about that.
It could be something simple, right?
Oh no! Because if it's something like that, where it's literally just the whole thing of like the whole you can't really say no, you have to say yes. But if in this game you can say no, actually that would be an extremely organic way to integrate something like that into Dragon Quest.
Yeah. I mean, look, Star Ocean had branching paths, and Star Ocean is an old game, and Star Ocean 2 had like 35 endings, right? They were basic, but there were 35 endings.
Yeah. That would be very like uncharted territory for Dragon Quest.
It'd be different, but I don't think it would change the game drastically. I think you would see different story paths. I don't know if they're going to change it with like CG.
It depends on how, because we have to be honest about this now, and honest about modern gaming. We have to ask how artificial this is going to be, and how meaningful this is going to be. Because a lot of modern Western games and modern Western RPG choices, they're not that drastic. They make the advertisements make them sound drastic. They make them sound like you are making choices that will change everything. But as one person put it, in reality, when you play some of these games, 90% of the game is the same each time. You're just replaying them for the last 10% that's different.
Sure, you're going to see like a Peter Molyneux situation where they sell you the world and then you're just going to kind of get a taste of it. I wouldn't be shocked.
So it depends, because Horii was saying that these were going to be some big decisions, and I would like to believe him.
Because you only got to have like a handful of branches, right? Major branches, and then the rest of it could all just be done through simple dialogue, where like you would say no, and then it's like those Telltale games, right? Where you make a choice.
It depends, because I just want to say is that when he says that these are going to be big decisions, and that it's going to be bigger than marriage, which is what he said, I want to believe him. I want to take him at his word, because I don't think he's ever lied before. I don't think he's been like
it's also
Peter Molyneux and he's lied. Yeah,
it's not early in production. I wouldn't say it's early. Well, because I think I believe they've been working on the game for at least 2 years. That's my.
Yeah, but I think they said they only have the story done, and they've still got a lot of game to create. So it's possible that things could, intend to be something than what they turn out to be in 2 years.
Well, here's one thing. One thing that Dragon Quest V is probably my favorite Dragon Quest game, and I think that one of the things that they did in that game, I don't think they fully exploited or exploited to its fullest potential, and that is the generation thing. So if we're going to talk about, Horii's talking a lot about how the player shapes the world and all these choices. One thing that I've been thinking for a long time about the Dragon Quest series, especially about how the generation thing was. I don't think the generation thing was fully exploited to its fullest extent. I think that could have gone much, much further than it did in 5. Yeah, of course.
Describe what you mean. Describe what you mean by much further, because I don't have a sense of what you mean by that specifically.
Well, here's what I was going to. I was thinking that not only could, if we're going to integrate choices in changing the world, well, that could be a way into where like the player does affect the world, where if you play the game in one generation and you make the choices, whatever choices you make, maybe they're probably major choices in one generation, it'll affect what happens in the next one.
You know what I just played? I'm sorry. Complete your sentence.
But this is something that this is something combining both what I've been thinking about for a long time with Dragon Quest, that I don't think some of the things that were explored in Dragon Quest V were fully I mean, 5 is an amazing game, and it had it's an old game now, but I think that there's still more to be done with that kind of idea. I don't think it's fully exploited yet. And if 12 is going to go in that direction where it's going to be something like that,
I mean,
I was thinking now something that probably Hori would never do. Something Hori probably would never do is like the main character, the hero, maybe changes during these generations. I don't think that'll ever happen, but because I think it seems very anti-Hori's basic game design to do something like that. So I don't think that would happen because of it. But I was thinking of something as drastic as that.
That could be interesting, though. It's the first time that the hero actually changes from just being
it changes to another character. But the thing is, I don't really see that one. I don't see happening to. The likelihood of that happening doesn't seem very likely because of what kind of game designer Hori is. It seems very antithetical to how Hori makes his games.
It depends. It is because I just want to say two things. First off, in terms of fully exploring the generational mechanic, I think that because of the way 5 is written, I don't think the idea that you were bringing up would work particularly well in 5. Because do you get what I mean? Like the way the story is written.
No,
it wouldn't have room for that.
Yeah.
I just want to say that
12. I was talking about 12, not 5.
Sure.
All right, guys. We're gonna need to wrap up the conversation, guys. It's getting a little late. I know.
Okay, but I just wanted to say. Okay, well, I know Mr. Gentleman had to say something. I mean, basically my basic point is that yes, it's not for 5, but I was thinking about taking it further and beyond 5, and 12 maybe could do it. Basically.
I'm just saying it would do it differently rather than saying it. Yeah, I get what you mean by expansion. I'm just being technical here. I'll just say that what did I just beat? I just beat Romancing Saga 2, and the story is not. We'd have to go longer to really describe the story, or like how much it lets you fill in. But the thing with Romancing Saga 2 is that it's not about a single main character. It's literally about generations. So like you start the game as one emperor, and then you play as his son, and then every time you complete 3 quests, the game jumps forward between 50 to 200 years to your descendant. And it's an open world game. And every time you make a huge there aren't too many huge decisions, but the ones that do end up affecting the world forever. So, like, there's an island with a volcano, and if you do not deal with that volcano, all of the towns are destroyed on that island forever, for the rest of the game, for every generation going forward. Or you can choose to, stop that volcano.
This is exactly...
Before we end this, Sack, can I just ask you one question?
Yeah, one question, that's fine.
Do you think they'll change the art style? Not that they're going to change Toriyama, but do you think they're going to change the art style to be more adult?
It's possible.
More anime, more like Ninja Scroll or something.
I think there might be a possibility that they might change it up a little bit.
I kind of think they
it's Toriyama doing the art. It would probably. I'm assuming that maybe it'll look more. It'll look like Toriyama's art.
Right? No. He's doing the art, obviously, but I just mean he's got detailed art, like that thing that what was that German tank thing that you would show me before? That you had the model, right?
The model.
The detail in it is different. Like the art is like a colored pencil kind of art as opposed to an anime cartoon art. I mean, they can do that now, right? That's something that graphically you can accomplish with the power that you have in consoles today, as opposed to doing cel-shaded type thing. It seems like that's a potential change because they are saying that this is adult-oriented. And what else do you do to make it adult-oriented other than make it hentai? other than you'd have to change the tone of it visually.
I think that you're thinking too much in black and white in terms of this, in terms of it's only this, and this choices you have, because the art for Dragon Quest V is already a lot darker and detailed than everything else.
Look at the title even. Look at the title, like the details in the title. The title's more gritty and changed as well, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that necessarily means you have to make that drastic of a change. Like, I'm sure it'll be more in line with DQ5 than other games.
I think that basically, what's most likely going to happen is you're going to get Akira Toriyama drawing grittier, maybe a little darker designs. That's most likely what's going to happen. And maybe beyond that, some of the other artists or the CG renderers will maybe make it even more gritty and make the designs more dark and more. That's the most likely scenario, that Toriyama will draw a bit grittier designs than you in his style.
Something has to be done.
I mean, the CG designers, the people that are making the models, are maybe going to take it a little bit further than that, and then that's what's going to be in the game. I think that's most likely what's going to happen.
All right, guys. I think we should probably sign off for tonight on the stream, because we're approaching the final minutes. You guys want to say anything?
Yes.
I got nothing. I'm gonna trail off.
Right.
Yes, subscribe to my channel, Mr. Gentleman. I am working on that Dragon Quest V video. It will be out one day. It's coming. That's what I'll say. It's coming.
Links in the description.
Just gotta handle a few real life things first, and then we will see what happens from there. And there may be a video about Dragon Quest 12 coming up, so we'll see.
That'd be nice. I'd like to see that. And Blackenfist, your channel is also in the description. Subscribe to both these guys. They're both good YouTubers. And thanks to Luchadork for also talking to us. He gave us a lot of good conversation topics. Appreciate it.
That's what I do.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you all have a good night. And we'll see you all next time.
Good night.